All right, it says I'm live. Sorry about the delay. I was I was on a call with my one of my old think tank members, my old circle mate members, my one of my mentors, Baba. So, and he's one of my elders. And we had a conversation. The reason I took it because normally I don't take calls like this close to a show or to a stream, but I haven't heard from him in years, man. Because man, we did about 12, 13 years of good work, man, concerning what's going on the continent. In fact, we put our little shekels in as far as influencing what's going on as far as the East African corridor and the um, the colonial franc and this African independence movement that we see going on now with the BRICS. Okay, we threw our shekels in. So our shekels in. I think we started in like 2003 or so, and I kind of left them in like I want to say 2015. So for a good 12 years, 13 years, we were in on that. So this is right before I came to YouTube. So I was doing this a long time before I actually came to YouTube. And when I uh, came over on the MGTOW side, um, since I was already doing the similar work, um, I just decided to throw my lot in with the MGTOW side. Since they wanted content creators, so I said, hey, I can do that. So that's why I started Black Gnostic Speaks in 2014, and then when Adagon Forest and Black Ram and True 40 said we need to tailor what we learned the manosphere from the MGTOW side over to the black side, which black folks. That's why the Ibmores came over to the black manosphere and kind of incubated certain ideas and certain memes and certain things that go on here. Like, so, a lot of stuff that I've done as far as the intellectual class with professors and engineers and stuff like that, I was already doing previous to being here. Because, like I said, the conscious community, they're full of people like that. So a lot of people in the pro-black conscious community at higher levels, I'm talking about at really high levels. Um, I'm connected with a lot of those people. So. Um, I don't talk about it very much because it is a gynocentric space. It is a gynocratic space, and a lot of what I say, as far as what women is concerned, is goes counter to that. So I can't really. I got to give them plausible deniability, but I am still connected. In fact, I just did a show yesterday with my female mentor about male female relationships. So I still do that. So I still have my radical side. So this is how I express my radical side. So so, so but saying that, let me since I'm late and I got a whole bunch of people here, so I can't welcome all the early comers, but as per usual, if you have a complaint.
I'm done. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
And if you hear, always remember. In fact, I got to do a couple of pre-recordings about this man because they're telling about the Dion Effect, right? And them looking to actually hire him as a NFL coach. But
What's up, boss? You believe that? You hold on. Oh no. Do you believe in that? Huh? Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. Come on. Do you believe?
if you're here, do you believe? Oh boy. Anyway, let's get the show on the road because I don't know if Green Gorilla's got something. BGS, what are your thoughts on tech sales engineer worth the hype, or is AI taking everything? Number one, sales is a human endeavor. So AI cannot sell anything, can help you sell things. Okay. help you sell things. And there's two things I don't think you can get rid of: or human interaction, which is sales and personal interaction, stuff like that. And also, can't get rid of what I call cybersecurity. Somebody got to keep an eye out on them bots. Okay, make sure those bots are doing the right thing. And I wouldn't trust a bot to watch another bot. So those are the two things I would say. But and USC, yeah, yeah. The thing is that everybody knew about USC and the USC coach. Okay, it's it's Dion. Okay, in fact, they're trying to shrink the time that the transfer portal is open because they're calling that an anti-Dion rule because he's shaking it up so much. I believe Oregon. Yeah, well, Oregon. Oregon has an established program. Okay, we can talk about that shit. The whole thing about believing in Dion is not about what he does his first year. Okay, okay. Oregon does not have the five highest rated games on TV on ESPN or Fox. Okay, it's about eyeballs, and that's what I said from the very beginning. It's about eyeballs. Eyeballs bring recruiting. In fact, they're talking about Dion's already talked about flipping some of the top, number one recruits from Georgia and other places to come to Colorado. That's what it's about. So they were supposed to beat Oregon was supposed to beat them. Okay, it's a new program. In other words, if you turn over your whole roster in the first year, you're supposed to get beat. But the thing is, the Oregon game wasn't the important one. The USC game was the important one because they proved that they belong on that field, and that rebooted the hype train. So Oregon spanking that ass, they were supposed to win that game. And Oregon, what's on the field is not the important part. That's what you guys keep thinking. Well, is he supposed to be a overnight uh, uh, bowl champion? No, a national champion? No, can't. It's impossible. The thing is, can he change the culture? Can he hack the system? Can he bring eyeballs to Colorado? There's no way any person can turn a 1-11 team into a national champion in one season. It's impossible. USC was the closest. The thing is, if they had gotten blown out by USC, then people would say they don't belong. Colorado's not ready for prime time yet, and they're 2 or 3 years away. Okay, what he proved is that they can hang with the big boys. That's all he had to prove. He had to beat them. Just had to hang with them. Media control. And I thank you not to use all caps. Okay, all caps is shouting, and that's rude. So don't use all caps. So that's just a warning. I don't mind you speaking your mind, and with the I know I shouldn't have to explain. Well, you do have to explain because I'm gonna tell you, man. You know, there's regular, there's smart, and there's elite. Okay, what I'm talking about is elite. Okay, because people read headlines and people read box scores, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the business of football. We're talking about the business of college sports. We're talking about the business of why he was hired. Okay, go Coach Prime. It's about the eyeballs. Anyhow, let's get busy. MS Delta, appreciate you. Legacy Cycle. Oh, Legacy Force. Legacy Force? Is that Force? Okay, Legacy Force. Thank you. Anyhow, but I like to irritate people with the "Do you believe now?" Yeah, well, it does happen. Oregon got spanked last. It does happen. You know, it does happen, and everybody knew that Dion and that team had holes. Anyhow, let's get busy. Uh, Now today, I was supposed to do this yesterday to follow up on Ebony Williams, and see if I can find it. That's one thing when you get calls before your show. when you're trying to set things up. Um, yeah, I think my grandson is on my YouTube, okay, because he's screwing up my history. And see if I can find it. I should have already. I should have downloaded. That's what I should have done. But the thing is, what we want to talk about today is how women are trained, and that's the problem. Um, People like Ebony K. Williams, how they're trained, because the way they're the way they're socializing women is to act like men, and that's how come they get upset. Is because they expect. Why is my history all screwed up? Okay, I know now. I know why. 'Cause I am on the wrong channel. Okay, which account? Here we go. There we go. See, normally I would do all this beforehand and have this set up beforehand. I didn't get a chance to do it today. So how are you guys today, man? Since while we're riffing, we trying to find this stuff. I hate when my kids get into my account and they screw up my history. I just saw this. But the thing that what we're trying to do is thing what we're trying to do is talk about. Okay, here it is. There we go. Here it is. Found it. And so go ahead and share it. H Town, appreciate you. BGS taxes in effect. Our Jizzle, appreciate you. Go ahead and share it so we can get busy and get this on the road. Okay. Now this is something that Dr. Thundertone turned me on to. Her name is, I think, is this Nika. Okay. Evidently, Nika's a Nigerian name, obviously. And the video is called "What I Learned from White Women About Love and Relationships," and it talked about the training, okay, the masculine training that females have that are given to all women, but especially Black women, and how this feminism is affecting uh, relationships, especially um, when feminism and affirmative action is putting women into breadwinner roles. In fact, Suzanne Venker, who's a white woman, was just talking about that, how putting women into breadwinner roles is fucking up their nesting instinct. And so now they're training as far as schooling in society, and then putting in position of being what they call the boss babe or breadwinner or an earner is clashing when they get into relationship and family with their nesting instinct. So you see them saying, I want a guy on my level or above, which is a natural nesting instinct. But now it clashes with their independence, saying I need a supportive guy because I can't have a family and work 60 hours a week like I would normally do to actually earn money. And so how do I adjust myself and turn off the nesting instinct and hand over their responsibility to another person, which is a man that doesn't have the nesting instinct. So you have incompatible instincts put in divergent roles. Why? Because, according to feminists, gender is performative. You can train a man to be a woman and a woman to be a man. It's just a matter of how you teach him. And what's coming very apparent after 50 years of experimenting with this stuff, that it's not true. Biology, it still rules. Nature is is king over nurture. Nature trumps nurture. Okay, 90% of who you are is nature. Okay, and those instincts and those feelings and those impulses are still there, regardless of what you try to do. You can't train that out of people. Okay, you can't. You can't tell you can't teach a dog to meow. Okay, he's gonna bark. Anyhow, let me get busy.
But we'll look at that and say, oh, okay, well, Cardi B is married. And what we're not looking at is the woman who's quiet, who is not, chasing all types of surgeries, and yet was able to get the man that every Black woman in the world wants to be with. And she's silent. We don't hear any drama about her, talking about Sabrina Elba. So, and I realize I'm kind of going off topic, but bringing it back to my main point here is, what I learned from white women. If you hear the clip that I place at the beginning, it gives you an idea. She sets the tone. The woman who's being interviewed set the tone and said, I wasn't a feminist. I've always respected men. And she talked openly about how in her career, she was groomed to be a certain way. And it was hard for her to turn that off when she got home. And she worked with a coach who is Suzanne Venker, if I'm saying her name correctly, Venker. She worked with her as a coach to learn how to not fight with her husband and how to have a healthy and sustainable marriage. And ultimately, and I'll link the video or the podcast in the description to this video. Ultimately, she goes on to say how she ended up leaving her job, and she had 2 kids and she was overwhelmed and trying to balance it with work, and she ended up leaving her job to be a stay-at-home mom. And she talks about that transition and what that was like as a woman who was groomed to be so career driven. Actually, other white women who I follow, over the years, and if you guys care, I can certainly tie in their content. But I'm giving you one example here, and I one of the parts that were toward the end of the clip, she says that she had to surrender. She uses the word surrender. And I think in the Black community or in other communities, we hear the word submit.
In other words, Black women are trained not to do what? Surrender or submit, right? They're trained they were already socialized to lead the family, okay? And me and my mentor just talked about that yesterday, right? Okay. In fact, my mentor, she's old school, right? She's in her 70s, and she still use the word sex. I had to correct. I said, no, we don't use sex anymore. It's called gender. Okay. Gender has replaced the word sex, and gender, the reason they replaced gender with sex is because gender means uh, is performative. Okay. In other words, they're roles. There's transgender and transgender male, transgender female, blah blah blah, birthing person, and all kind of shit, right? In other words, the separation between biology and performative roles. Okay, we don't have sex roles anymore. We have gender roles, and that's what she's taught about. So, um, Black women have always been dominant as far as the family structure. That's why I call it gynocracy. So, when the dominant society actually started to agree with them and started to put women ahead of men, it put Black women on steroids. So submit was never in a Black woman's language, or surrender was never in a Black woman's language ever. You go back and look at Fraser's book.
So, however you want to describe it, I'm learning that there are women who are committed to trying to figure out how to have a sustainable relationship and marriage, because they realize that feminism, by and large, is failing the modern woman. Feminism, and this is in my opinion.
Where have you heard that before? Okay. I've been telling you for years that when that book came out, The Richer Sex, and the other books like that, about women not wanting to be breadwinners. I said, and they had mentioned, if we can't get women to buy into this, right, basically, it's going to fail. They have really said that feminism, if they can't get women to step into a man's role and accept that role, regardless of her biology, it's going to fail. And that's what she's saying. Feminism is failing modern women. It's coming out of a black woman's mouth.
Is failing the modern woman. My entire channel gives example. If you watch most of my videos, probably unintentionally expose sort of how feminism is failing us. And here's another thing. Think about, and again, and I also follow black women as well. So, but here's the thing. You guys know that I've talked about April Mason, Iyanla Vanzant, Rebecca Lynn Pope on my channel. See, the thing about a lot of black women who coach black women, some of them have given up on helping black women, which I've talked about. But also, a lot of times, these are women who are like reformed masculine women.
Ebony K. Williams, anybody? Reformed masculine women? Iyanla Vanzant, as you're going to mention, okay? April Mason, all these femininity coaches, okay? You can tell they have a masculine bent to them. That they had to relearn how to be feminine.
Right. So they're women who used to be masculine, like very masculine, like Iyanla Vanzant admits to this. I think April Mason has admitted to it. Not sure about Rebecca Lynn Pope, but they kind of admit that like they had very strong masculine tendencies, which most black women do. Mm-hmm. But I said to myself,
it take a Nigerian to actually admit this kind of shit, because those black women would never ever admit to this shit. Okay, that most black women are masculine, right? Even though they are, while they're slapping you upside your head, and hitting you with the bat left, going kablock, they say, no, well, we're not masculine, we're not Klingons.
Myself, well, that's fine. I don't mind listening to them, and I'm sure that they can help me in certain ways. But I'm actually more interested in hearing the perspective of a woman who the concept of being masculine as a woman is foreign to her. What is she going to tell me? What perspective can she offer? And so that is one of the reasons that I started listening to some white women as it relates to love and relationships, because, and again, I do realize that obviously there are many white women who are feminists, and and feminism comes from the white community. But, there are a lot of openly sort of anti-feminists as well. And women who, white women in particular, in this case, who admit to never being masculine, and like, they don't even know what that means. And so they're going to give advice and share a skill set that some black women can't share, because most black women have had very in-depth experiences with being extremely independent and masculine. Very soon, I will.
In other words, basically, that's the video that turned me on to it, and basically see if I can find it, because I do have Vinker's video that we're going to get into, so women don't grab them nuts. Well, the thing is that's on this channel I've gone over for years, about the gynocracy and the masculine bent that black women have, even though they deny it. They show it every day, even while they're denying it, man, while they're beating you upside the head trying to say I'm feminine, right? That's who they are. And some people said it's cultural, and some people said, even people on the continent said, okay, that's part of their DNA. So I won't get into that. What's going on, Hurricane Greg? Appreciate you. But let me go ahead and pull up. Let me go ahead and pull up the Vinker video that she's talking about, the Suzanne Vinker video. Appreciate you, Dr. CD, too. See if I can find it. Master Y'all. I thought I did it. Yeah. Okay, maybe I didn't. Thought I did it. All right. Let's see. That's the wrong one.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ.
That is the wrong one. Okay. All right. And see if I can find it. See, when you don't get things set up, you get thrown off. If I didn't download it, then I will have to go find it. You. I might have to go find it. I might have to go find it. I can't see it. I can't see it. All right, we have to go back to the. We have to go to the actual video. I had downloaded it, but okay, we'll work with it that way. So since I am doing this, let's go ahead and see if we can find her, Susan Venker. But the thing is, we want to, because a lot of times what women are saying, a lot of times what they're saying is okay, there's a video. So we're gonna skip through this one. Am I still on? Okay, grief. Yeah, I'm still on. All right. Too many screens. So y'all forgive me today, because when I get a phone call just before and I'm trying to handle it, Ignaz, appreciate you. Dr. CD2, appreciate you. Let me go ahead and present, share screen, and since she's up, okay, this is Suzanne Vinker. How to be a woman when you've been groomed to be a man. Okay, that's the video that they're pulling from. So we're going to investigate this one. And
if you love this podcast, can you do me a big favor and please give us a review on whatever platform you're using? And
though when we had Charlie, my daughter, because with one kid, I could still kind of fake it and manage, if that makes sense. But with two kids, you can't really. And so that probably was the changing thing, even though I didn't quit immediately when I had Charlie. It was, about a year later. That's probably when it started to really get bad, was when we had two kids, not just the one.
yeah, that's exactly how my mom phrased it. She said, by the time the second one came along, forget about it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's kind of how you feel. It's just like, oh, this is just going to be a perpetual disaster. And do I want to live in this? No, I don't. So we got to do something about it.
And really quick, just to back up for a second, the reason why I always say two boys is because you named your girl Charlie.
Charlie, exactly. Yes, Mac and Charlie.
So and everyone knows. I do know that you have a daughter and a son.
I know.
But that's why. That's because of her name.
Yes, we gave her the double name, the good old Southern Charlie Kate. But of course, we don't call her that. So then she just has the boy name. So sorry, Charlie. It does not. We named her after my brother. Actually, his name is Charlie, so it's IE at the end.
It's funny, man. That you say that, BD, is because they have a lot of black female coaches and commentators that are not really helping black women. They're really not. Their thing is to point at black men and blame black men, but the thing is that's not helping black women or their situation.
Okay, so I thought it would be great to use, because you just remind me so much of me when I was your age, not because of that story, because I was home from day one, and my whole outlook pre-kid was very different from yours, and a different generation, a different upbringing, and different plans and all that. But in terms of our personalities, we are very similar. I mean, it's very hard to find somebody who is willing to face the music and look inward and say, okay, this isn't right. This is what am I being taught versus what do I feel? And then really looking at it and making change. I think that's very difficult. So when I talk about our being similar, that's really what I mean, is that you are as honest as I am about what's going on. And there's just no pussyfooting around. You just kind of get to it, right?
Yeah, but it's not easy. It's very difficult.
No, but it's not easy. And that's an important caveat. It's like, it's easy to understand and difficult to do. And that's important, because just because we are more prone to not caring what people think, that doesn't make it easy. It doesn't mean like we just have no problem with this. It just means that we're more willing, maybe that's a better word, to go out on a limb. And so I wanted to talk with you about your experience and really connecting it to how we raise women today, which you and I both feel is abominable, just complete lies on top of lies, and which then causes people such as yourself to have this wake up call and create a life that is completely opposite of what you had planned. So this
Right.
transition that didn't need to happen if you had been given a heads up. So that's what I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about this transition and what makes it so difficult. You referred to in your last episode of being different, and I already told people at the beginning about your podcast again, so they know about it. About yourself, about your being a woman in training. That's how you.
Okay.
And basically, a woman in training. They're getting ready to get into this. Basically, how were you trained versus your nature? Okay. A lot of black women, a lot of feminists, because most black women nowadays are feminists, right? Refuse to get into the training part. Okay. In other words, they don't worry about how they're trained. They want black men to be trained differently instead of seeing exactly what they're taught versus what the reality is. Uh, I guess since white women created this paradigm, I guess they're the ones that have to dig into it and face the music. But white women are already starting to get on board with this. Like, okay, this shit's coming apart. This shit ain't working. Black women are recalcitrant. They don't want to they don't want to give up power. They never did, and that's the problem with black women.
I love that.
So I think for me, I have never like labeled myself as a feminist or anything like that. I actually have always appreciated the men in my life and never felt like I was held back by the patriarchy or anything like that. But I think where my issue comes in is that whether it be through culture or college, or I don't know when it was, a lot of this indoctrination happened to me. And so I was living this like career woman lifestyle. And if you're going to work like that and you're being trained to perform and act like a man and work, because let's be honest, men are very successful, especially in the field that I was in.
Okay, I guess this stream has a sponsor. Okay, Anubis, appreciate you, bro. Humbled. I am very humbled, bro. Appreciate you. So, I don't I don't have any bombs. I don't have any special effects. Okay, because I don't normally do that kind of stuff. I don't really sell myself like that. It's not really. It's more. This is more of a laboratory or a classroom. It's not really a show. So I don't I don't have all the sound effects stuff like that. But I'm humbled. Okay, I'm humbled by you guys. Okay, appreciate you, bro. Anyhow, continuing.
A loan officer for a bank, you start to develop habits and certain ways of thinking, which I did, that are very dominant. Not that that's bad, but if you can't turn that off when you go home and you're in a relationship with a husband who's also dominant, it causes a lot of strife. And
see what we're talking about, where you have two heads. This is why black marriages don't last but 5 years. Okay, and at least with white people and white women and white couples, right? They have an idea about class. Okay, they have an idea about rank and position. You know, but in the black community, especially with black women always think they're in charge, which is why there's always conflict. And I was just telling my mentor, and maybe at some point we'll develop this language and stuff like that about bringing back what we call gender roles, right? Something that Warren Lance, pimp guy, actually said years ago. Man, in fact, I'll dig it up if I can. Uh, he said that women are married to the game, not to you, right? Especially black women. Black women are married to the game, not to you. In other words, years ago when we had gender roles and marriage, and women were wedded to the idea of being married and the institution of marriage, right? That's why marriages lasted, no matter what they thought or how masculine they might have been. Because trust and believe, I have a matriarch, man, that just died a week ago at the age of 101. She was a pistol, okay, but she was married like 60 years, like almost 70 years. So long she was married, you know. She was a pistol, but thing is, she was wedded to the idea of being married and the institution of marriage, and she was wedded to the game of being a wife. Okay, when we eliminated those gender roles. Okay, white women kind of adjusted a little bit, but black women could not. That's why the average marriage only lasts 5 years. That's like 75% of black women cannot be married. Okay, is because without that institution, without that gender role, basically they have nothing to grasp onto, and they want to be independent, and they're going to clash with their men. They don't know how to play their role. Okay, do you think black women generally being more masculine than other groups, women across the board, comes from baseline genetics of black people, or black people just masculine than other races or yeah, I think they are. And what we're noticing with passport bros and with African Americans men interacting with African women is the culture kind of tamps down some of that masculinity, but thing is there's a lot of that stuff is genetic. There's a lot of that stuff that is actually genetic. Okay. Representing the dusty on YouTube. Y'all ain't shit. Okay. Damn B, you gave you gave hey, salute to the noobs. I appreciate them, man. I do. I got very good subs, man. So I appreciate you guys. Y'all been with me a long time. Anyway, let me get back into this.
And for me, I think there was like, I don't know if you would say this like underlying power struggle, but that's maybe what it kind of
Here we talk about the power struggle. Okay. She won't quite admit to it. And this is a white woman, right? Okay. This is a white woman. Okay. Black women talk about this all the time about the power struggle. Ebony K. Williams talks about the power struggle between her and her men, right? Uh, that's what you constantly hear about. Basically, the same thing that Kevin used to deal with every night, right? About the word submission, about the word surrender, about the word cooperation. Okay, that's always been the case. In other words, black women want to be in charge. They don't want to play their role. They don't, black women actually revel in the power struggle. They really do. Look at all their media. Look at all their reality shows, their books, their movies, their TV shows. It's always about a power struggle between that man and that woman who's trying to best each other. It's a competition. Anyhow, continuing.
was of like who's actually in control and running the show, because that's how it was for me in my business. So
Thanks,
that
Rich.
a lot of that just came home. And in the coaching that I've done with you, Suzanne, a lot of what we've been working on is when your husband comes home and there's something that you would typically argue with or be combative about, you just say like, okay honey, or
When have you heard of a black woman that she wants to argue about something? She says, "Okay, honey." Difference in training. Even when Ebony K is as masculine as Ebony K. Williams uh, is, right? You heard on the Breakfast Club, okay, the other day, okay, you had women calling in talking about how were you raised, and I wasn't raised to look for a man. I wasn't uh, raised to follow a man. I was raised to be independent, make my money, take care of myself, blah blah blah, right? Not to cooperate with a man. And if God saw fit to give me a husband, a gift to you, in other words, or give me to a husband, or allow me a good husband to find me, which they don't believe in. Okay, like the video I showed you about the woman where the guy whose girlfriend said, you stay here and you belong to me, and tell your mama to release your documents and sign you over to me. Okay, that's what they believe in. Now, that's what I show things like that for a reason.
oh, sure, that's fine, whatever. And so ultimately, I think one of the biggest things that hit home with me that you have taught me is you have to like say in your head over and over and over again, surrender. And that is very hard for somebody who's taught to be a bulldog and at work, but not just at work. Like you can't separate it from work. It's just like kind of ingrained in your personality after working that way so long in an industry. And so if you can't take that out of your relationship, you're going to remain like at war with your spouse or in competition at least. And that's not good. So
See what I said about in competition, right? In competition. Okay, black women have been in competition with black men as far as being a spouse since emancipation. Okay, what white women are just coming to grips with, right? As far as feminism, being independent, right? Black women have been that way from day one. Okay, but they always say that no other race ask their women to submit, or ask their women to cooperate, or ask their women to do this, that, or the other, right? It's not true. It's what you're listening to right now.
Recognize that. And I am still very much who I was trained to be in my job and just my personality, who I am. I'm still that person. So retraining myself has been pretty difficult. And it's something that like it's not going to happen overnight. And I recognize that, but like it just takes practice like anything else. Like I used to play basketball, and to get any better, you just had to practice over and over again. So I'm trying to practice it. And that's what I meant by I am a new woman in training, I guess you would say. I'm still the same me, but
How many black women or black coaches or black female influencers actually say this to women that want to get married? I mean, even the breakdown, right? Even the breakdown, right? Is, and I do believe there's some of the better women, on YouTube as far as this is concerned, right? The more congenial, right? How many women, female coaches actually say this? Female influencers actually say this, has actually suggest this, actually come up with this kind of stuff, or have this kind of content.
trying to do things differently.
And I love how there's really two aspects to us, because this is really about marriage and motherhood combined,
Yeah.
right? Like so you're talking right now about being a wife and the work that we've done together, which is great. But there's also this other piece, of course, to this conversation, which is the motherhood piece, the mothering, let's call it a verb, mothering, not just having children, but actually mothering them.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what you're experiencing today versus the first 3 years, and what you've learned on that front that you didn't perhaps know before.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough.
Actually, want to be mystic? That's bullshit, because uh, uh, what's your name? What's his name? O'Shea Duke Jackson is over there with Kenyans and Ugandans. And the last I heard, that is East African, right? Okay, the aggression is there too. Is it as bad as it is here? No. Is it as bad as Nigerians or Ghanaians? No. But the thing is, that kind of aggression is still there. Nigerian women and Kenyan women and Ugandan women are not Europeans. Okay, they don't talk like that. Okay, there's a whole. I wish I could pull it up. Right, they showed 400 men, 400 Kenyan men that had hot water burns on them from their spouses throwing hot water on them. Where do you think our women got that shit from? Okay, they got that from the continent, about throwing hot water on their spouses, that kind of shit. That didn't come from Europe. That came from Africa. Been there. So, but we'll talk about that another day. We're into this, but that stuff about African women not being aggressive, it's bullshit.
If I had a mom who stayed at home with us, she was a full-time stay-at-home mom. And she actually even like homeschooled us. So she was very involved in our lives. So I had a good example in my life of a mother who was connected to her kids and had, good, strong attachment with us, all of that. But for me, I decided to go the work route and tried to conquer the world, and I was doing pretty good at it. And then I had kids. And so I had this crisis of like, oh, I didn't know or think that I would like being a mother as much as I do. And I think that's what a lot of women encounter. Like they may think, oh, one day I may have kids or something like that, but it's almost an afterthought. And that's probably how it was for me. Um, and so when I was working and I was constantly relying on, other people for childcare, I was absent, during, the majority of every day, I was working. And so I didn't develop the secure attachment with my son, Mac, because I wasn't there. And my biggest mistake with him was having so many different forms of childcare because he didn't have any consistency in expectations or discipline or even food, like nutrition, anything like that. It was just kind of like what are we going to do to survive today so I can get my job done?
Doesn't that sound like black women, especially single black mothers? What am I going to do to survive today to get a job done? All right, as far as cooking, what to eat, how they dress, uh, putting them in front of a TV, giving them an iPad instead of them bothering them. Yeah, have to deal with this in my daughter, as far as my daughters and my grandsons, even now.
And the parenting part, although it was very important to me, was always kind of an afterthought because I was doing my job first. And then, I'd have him when I was done doing my job at the end of the day, which was not very many hours. And so when I switched to being full-time stay-at-home mom, now I'm with him all day long, and now I've got to learn how to be a stay-at-home mom. That's not something that just like how.
Yeah. In other words, that's not something you just learn overnight. That's why I say women in America are not taught to be wives. So what she's saying is that she was never taught to be a wife, never taught to be a mother. She was taught to be what? A partner. That's why they use that term. Me and my partner, not my husband, right? I don't think she ever said that anything about being a wife or mentioning her spouse as a husband. It's always a partner. They haven't given it up yet. Say you and Pimp God have been explaining the forces I've seen all my life. Made me sick since the mid '80s. You explaining history in their true thoughts is a needed gut punch. I'm debt free, degree, PP in six figures, never going back. I heard that, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the $20. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to it.
How to do. I mean, there are a lot of things that are innate that mothers are good at. We're more naturally nurturing than men are, but it's not something that you just know how to do. So I'm learning how to do that, but I'm also learning a lot. I care about like, why are we doing the things that we're doing? And is it just because our parents told us to, or society tells us to, or is it actually what your kid needs? And so I'm trying to learn a lot about like childhood development and what actually happens in these stages of life. And so, part of what I've learned is that, Mac was not securely attached to me. And that's probably why we're having a lot of these issues with him not being able to.
I said, why do game coaches always teach the man has to teach the woman how to be a wife? Because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Okay. Game coaches are not relationship coaches. Game coaches are not family coaches. Okay. They're not experts. They don't study this. Okay. Game coaches teach you how to get pussy. They don't teach you how to be in relationship with a family. Okay. They don't. They don't. They have no clue. That's why you don't go to a foot doctor to have your a heart operated on, do you? They're two different things. Okay. Uh, when I broke down game to you, okay, it has nothing to do with you being married. It's nothing to do with you raising children. It's how to acquire a woman. And game coaches is not even about getting married. It's about how to have sex, how to get as many women to have sex with you as possible. That's the game coach, because each woman is a point. Okay. You don't take a football coach and go to Wall Street. Two different things.
Regulate his emotions and deal with things, because I wasn't there this first 3 years of his life. So that's been not only a big transition for the kids, but a really big transition for me, because it's like speaking a new language. Like I was a banker. I am fluent in numbers and interest rates and risk and all that, but like being fluent in how to parent a child in the right way it's not something you just know how to do. So it's definitely a.
In other words, basically that okay, we'll get to that in a second. Luckily, I had my uncles around to beat the bitch out of me. When my uncles saw I was getting too emotional, they snapped this. In fact, my mentor, she was actually saying the same thing, right? About talking to younger men, okay, about certain things, and they get emotional and they get angry and they start yelling, right? That is um, that is a dog trying to become a cat. Okay, that kind of emotional outburst, the emotional, uh, uh, hate to say it, that's female. But thing is, a man has a masculine brain and supposed to be stoic and in control of his emotions. When he's not, he's in his feminine. That's female. And a lot of our men, as the brother was saying, are taught to be female. That's why that's what take the bitch out of you. That's what he's trying to say. Anyhow, appreciate you, Brandon.
Transition
in the slightest. In fact, I would say that's true of both marriage and motherhood. We're going to come back to that in a second, because it's just so funny how that really takes over for most of us, the bulk of our lives, and yet we're completely uneducated about in that area whatsoever, which was not the case 50 years ago. I mean, women were groomed to be wives and mothers, right?
Right.
And that might have had its own.
I think they've been listening to us, right? Because what did I just say? About culture, right? What did she just say? Groomed to be what? Wives and mothers, and not what? Men. This whole thing is about what feminism and what this culture has done to women, especially black women, right? They're groomed to be a certain thing. You don't come out of the womb being something, right? Okay. You work with nature. You're supposed to work with the natural material that's already there, and groom them for their roles in society. For the last 50 years, they have groomed women to be what? Compete with men or to be men. That's why when passport bros and other people go overseas to a traditional society, guess what? They don't have to train their wife to be a wife or a mother. Her mother did that. That's her mother's job. Okay, that's her family's job is to train her to be a wife for you, and vice versa, train you to be a husband for her. That's why they call them what? Sex roles and not fucking gender roles. Gender roles are fluid by design. Okay, sex roles are fixed by design. For 200,000 years, sex roles have been fixed. You think you can just change them in 50 years against their biology? That's some of this shit is coming apart. Anyhow, continuing.
complications or whatever, but now we are completely gone in the other direction where we're groomed to be career women, have no idea what we're doing on the home front.
Mhm.
Um, so
And it's even, Suzanne, like stupid stuff. Like I can't cook.
yeah,
There are
that's what I mean.
things,
That's what I
you
mean.
know, like
Ah,
I should be able.
like I'm a quote Saint Kevin, right? God damn it, you cannot make this shit up. Can't make this shit up. My daughter's just now my ex, right? My baby mama, excellent cook. She was taught by her grandmother. Excellent cook, right? My daughter's just now learning how to cook. Now she was raised by a woman that's an excellent cook, right? All my women have been good cooks. Every last one. If they couldn't cook, they basically, baby, you can't boil water, you can't be my woman. And I meant that. If she can't cook, you're a dude. Okay, we're gonna put you over here in the friend zone, right? We can kick back and go to football games, but we can't be lovers because I need a woman. I don't need a partner. I need a woman. All my women could cook. Okay. My excellent cook. But did she teach my daughter how to cook? No. Okay. Did my mother teach my sisters how to cook? No. My sisters still cannot cook. They can't cook. Why? Because my mother and most black women of that ilk thought that cooking and cleaning was slavery. You hear that all the time, right? Not groomed to be what? Wives.
Well, like last night we were making Salisbury steak, and Luke was like, "All right, I don't know how to make the gravy. Like, you make the gravy part." And I was like, "I don't know how to make brown gravy." And I'm like, "I'm 33 years old. I should probably know how to make brown gravy at this point in my life."
And
So
I'm
it's like dumb stuff like that.
yeah, and not dumb, right? Not dumb at all. It's so crucial because that has this domino effect on not only our health but our children's as well.
Yeah.
Not being raised with proper nutrition and all that. So it's what's interesting about your story is that you had a stay-at-home mom and you had home cooked meals. And
Hmm.
if you had all of that and still represent, the average modern woman today, that's just
Didn't I just say that? Didn't I just say that, right? Okay. She's echoing the sentiment. They say that this space is toxic. We're not telling the truth. We're bullshitting. Don't know what the hell we're talking about. And white women don't have to listen to this kind of stuff. White women are saying the exact same thing that we are. The thing is that black women will not admit it. White women, white women actually want to fix the goddamn problem. Okay, black women don't want to perpetuate the problem.
proof of how strong the culture is because presumably your upbringing would, unless you want to talk about, I don't know if you want to get into this because I know your story, but what you saw there that you didn't want and maybe you overcorrected.
I think that it's common. I don't know if it's like just females, but I know a lot of people that, they do the opposite of what their parents have done. So it's like almost you take for granted what you had and you overcorrect in the opposite direction. It's not that my parents necessarily did anything wrong or anything like that. I was just like, oh, well, we didn't grow up with a lot of money or anything like that. So I went in the opposite direction. But I was also reading this thing the other day that said that a child really gets their like who they are going to be as an adult between the ages of 16 and 20. And for me, I was, at the end of high school and in college during those years. My mom wasn't homeschooling me during those years. And I remember vividly, like I took, female studies classes and, all the English classes at University of Tennessee, which were very, feminist minded and stuff like that. And so I can't help but think that like, even though I had my parents who did, raised me in a good way and everything like that. I feel like that definitely had more of an impact on me than I would have thought that it did at that time.
I think that is incredibly common, and I completely agree, because you really, unless you have conversations. I had a very, very unusual upbringing in this respect, and we're not going to get into that, but the average family isn't going to be discussing these issues.
No.
Growing up, you're just not. So the only real, what you call education, you're going to get is what you get in college, and we all know what that looks like as you just said. So that's just a shit show. Okay, so
exactly.
So you had Erica Commissar on, whom I love.
Yes, she's awesome.
Yep, and people who've been listening to the Suzanne Becker show for a while know that I've had her on, I think, total of 3 times already. So you were able to really get into a lot of sensitive issues there. And I last week did, if you didn't catch it, did an episode on daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about that with her as well in yours. What do you know now that you didn't see then about daycare?
Yeah, daycare is a touchy one. So I'm trying to remember exactly when we started Mac in daycare. He was like 2, I believe. Maybe like at the end of his first year, beginning of 2 years old. And so my first biggest frustration with it was he was constantly sick. So the selfish part of me that was, needing childcare to work for me so that I could work and do my job, I was like, so not only am I paying for this daycare for him to go to that he can't go to because he's sick all the time, and then he's coming home and I can't work either, but like, I don't know, that was a big frustration to me. And I was like, yeah, of course he's going to be sick because he's around all these snotty-nosed kids that are licking these toys.
I said, Brandon, you can't make this shit up, can you? You cannot make this shit up, can you? The thing is, the test for cooking with me, and I'll tell you this, was not about whether I needed a meal or not, right? The thing is, how was this woman trained? What is her mindset? Does she have a traditional mindset? That's what I wanted from my women, because if they couldn't, that would mean they're combative like men. So it's not about the cooking or cleaning. If she can't clean, she can't cook. That means she wasn't trained properly. She wasn't trained properly. That means she doesn't have the right mindset, and she probably wouldn't make a good wife. So that's what the test was. I was trained by older men. Say, if you give a woman's in your house and she doesn't pick up something, or she doesn't pick up, say, something off the floor, or she doesn't try to cook you a meal, she's probably not going to be a good mate. And I've learned, I kept that, all my life. Okay. And guess what? They're talking about this shit right now. Okay. Continuing.
And like, duh, that's just going to happen with little kids. And so you're asking for it. And I know that some people don't have an option, but for us, we did. So that was just kind of stupid on my part. But the real issues that I've had with daycare is
no, actually they're constantly sick is because you're putting them in an atmosphere. And basically, it's a breeding ground, because you come in, say, if you got 20, 30 kids, all in daycare, say like the average is like 20, 25 kids, right? They're coming from 25 different families. So whatever diseases or communicable diseases coming from that family will be passed on through the kid. Okay. And when they get together, they're going to exchange all these bugs. Okay. So once they exchange all these bugs, that's what's going to happen. They're going to bring that kid's going to bring that bug back to your household, and vice versa. That's why it's not about what you eat. What you eat does have an effect. But the thing is, when you get that many people in a group, okay, from different families, that's what happens. So all kids get sick until their immune systems get adjusted to being in that environment, right? When they're at home with you, it's close. Just like COVID taught you, right? Why do you think they isolated people from COVID? Same reason. Anyhow, continuing. JT with the $5. Salute to the space and the wisdom and the perspective y'all provide. Appreciate you, bro. Continuing.
I feel like in our society, there's no, like, people can't discipline kids anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one. But I've talked about that for years, but that's a big one.
And so also, you're putting a little child who's under the age of 3 in a setting with tons of kids with few teachers, and it puts a ton of stress on the child. Like, that's not how it's meant to be. They're supposed to be, with one-on-one care, or at least, less than that, maybe 2 or 3. And so you're causing all this stress to your child who can't tell you what they're feeling or anything like that. And then they act out or they either shut down, is what I've observed. And my child was the one acting out because he was learning bad behaviors from other kids at school. And they couldn't discipline him because of DCS and, all these laws that we have now.
Not to mention the fact that you can't discipline a child who's not yours.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
and
a teacher can do a basic job in the classroom. Yeah. I mean, an actual classroom, not daycare. But you have to form that bond first for them to respond to you.
Right. But they couldn't even, if they were fighting, they couldn't even put them in timeout or anything like that. And so for me, I was just like, what is going on here? So then you're trying to talk to your kid and tell them how to behave at daycare when they're 2 years old. Come on, give me a break. They can't understand that. You can't tell them okay, this is when it's okay to hit someone in self-defense and this is when it's aggression. And if they don't get it, they're 2 years old. And so eventually I was just fed up with, okay, well, did Mac do good day or bad today or what are we going to deal with? And eventually I was every time I pick him up and I bring him home, I feel like I'm trying to retrain him out of these bad behaviors. And it's just what are we doing here? And now I understand, after reading Erica's book and a lot of other research, kids don't need socialization under the age of 3. All they do is parallel play anyways, for the most part. And so the lie that we get, which everybody told me, oh, he needs to be socialized with other kids. Oh, he needs that. It's BS.
They want to, they tell that BS is because they want to dump the kid off into daycare so women can actually work, and it's very hard to find a good daycare person. I was fortunate to have a couple, but the thing is, the best daycare is, what we learn with our grandkids is family, which Latinos believe in, because my son is actually has kids by Latinos, right? Latinas, and they don't like daycare. They want family to actually take care of their kid, which I agree with. So all my grandsons have never been in daycare. Okay, they've always been cared for by family, extended family, which is something that we learned.
They don't need that. What they need is they need secure attachment with, a figure that's presumably
funds to combat the gynocratic order. Okay, I raise my lightsaber to you, sir.
Or hopefully the mother, but if not, a family member or someone else. And so that's where, once I read that book, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. To me, I was seeing all of the symptoms of the issue, but I didn't know what the root cause is, because society tells us, no, they need this. This is good for them, but it's not.
And so now, and the reason I wanted to focus on this is, here you are again. Now you're having to transition and still work with Mac now. That's going to take a lot of work and a lot of doing to counteract what happened. This is another example of what doesn't need to be if women had the information they're entitled to have about marriage and motherhood and raising children and all the rest. You wouldn't have to be in this boat. And that's why you're here today, because I want to use you as an example of, yeah, it's going to work out for her. Yeah, she's great. She's going to do it. But why should she? You even said this yourself in your last episode. Why should it have to be this hard? Why don't we just omit this whole 10-year experiment and just start from the get-go?
Right. That's where my frustration is I'm I just wish someone would have told me, you can choose this route that you're choosing now of going down this career path and trying to do it all and all these things that society says that we can and should do. Or you could do it this other way. And if you do it this other way, it's going to have a lot less consequences and be a lot easier on you and your children. And
what is the pushback that Ebony K. Williams is having, right? Okay. She said even though as big of a bulldog as she is, as mean as she is, as gynocratic as she is, as masculine as she is, she was trying to tell young women, I wish I had gotten this information when I was young. What did the white lady just said? The first thing they said, you don't tell, y'all don't tell other groups of women to do the same shit. Okay? Have 2 white women telling her the exact same thing that Ebony K just said, right? Almost word for word.
And so then I'm like, well, if I would have known both of those options, maybe I would have chose the option that I'm doing now. Maybe not. I was really stubborn back then. Maybe I wouldn't have. But I feel like we need to have information. We need to know.
Mr. K, when they took the SWAT out of the school, that's when all the discipline problems really accelerated in the school system. And guess who started all that shit? White feminist women, too. Don't touch my kid.
What's going to happen?
Amen. And we're going to conclude today talking about that exact thing. I'm going to read something from Jordan Peterson's book, Beyond Order, the one that came after 12 Rules for Life. And he has a whole chapter in there. It's actually on the romance chapter, believe it or not, but that's where he was talking about this same issue. And he does a great job of explaining in this one paragraph what I'm basically trying to get across to women as well, that there's a different way of doing this, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so let's go back to the marriage issue. I think that part and parcel of this not preparing women for motherhood is also not preparing them for marriage.
Yeah.
And gosh, there are a lot of reasons for that. I mean, on the one hand, this wasn't your story or my story, but at least half of the people today who are married are products of divorce.
Yeah, sad.
I think it's shocking that we think that something as complex as living with someone for the rest of our lives, day in and day out, would come somehow naturally.
Or easily.
Or that we were going to just know how to do it when we literally had no model for how not to.
Exactly. In other words, you were not trained to do it. And back in the 90s, when this feminist psychologist bullshit actually started, okay? In fact, I might do that because there was a psychologist that was pushing back all the stuff that Ebony K. Williams was saying, okay? And there's a reason that you had sex roles in an institution to train people, two people that come from different backgrounds and different families, how to get along under guidelines, okay? We don't have that anymore. Now it's willy-nilly. And you expect two people that from different backgrounds and different objectives and different families to come together and figure it out, okay? And that's why you have what you have now.
Do it. Like,
Right.
what sense does this make, right?
Mhm.
Of course marriage is falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean,
See?
as an institution, because you're basically have the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of previous
Bingo. What did she just say?
the previous generation didn't do, if anything, they're encouraging their daughters in particular not to get married until way later in life. Like it's a last ditch.
A buzzer beater. Bingo. What are the black women saying? What are the black, even on Ebony K. Williams, what are they saying? Take that 10 years and mess around, and then at the last second try to find a buzzer beater, right? And start a family and find a husband and learn how to get along with him, then learn how to raise kids all at once, right? What did she just say? But what they don't tell white women to do it. She looks pretty white to me.
Not last ditch, a last afterthought. That's the word I was going for. In
Mhm.
fact, the research has just actually shown that. The Pew research came out just a couple weeks ago showing that 88% of parents are prioritizing money and career over marriage.
Bingo. You know, like Kevin says, you can't make this shit up, right? Can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up. But they don't tell white women this stuff.
And family.
Yeah, it's sad.
There you have it in a nutshell. And you wonder why things are falling apart for women. It's because of the way they were parented. I believe that. And it doesn't need to be this way. And it's where we are. Okay. So
But if you earn six figures and you're alpha enough and you're masculine enough, you can make her be anything you want. Yeah, I just had a argument in the comment section about a guy that said the exact same thing. First thing I said is what? You know what I said? Bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit.
how to find a life of purpose and meaning without a paycheck or a pat on the back, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're now going into. You're going into this phase where not only do you have to figure out how to do this marriage and motherhood thing, on top of figuring out how to do it, you have to be comfortable and in knowing that your rewards are going to be intrinsic and that they're going to be way down the line. They're not going to be today or tomorrow. And it feels self-defeating, and that yet nothing could be further than the truth, but that's what you're used to, having spent 10 years in the workforce. And before you respond, I just want to read something really quick from an article that I just read the other day and from the BBC. It's a long article. Essentially, well, it's about quote unquote maternal ambivalence. That's what they called it. But there's an example here of a mom, 35, who said the following, quote, "When I became pregnant, I felt like I got downgraded from human to woman," which I'm going to come back to in a minute because I think those are really sad.
That's a profound statement.
Yeah. I mean, if she had said woman to mother, okay, but human to woman, that was pretty dramatic. The people I worked with, all they could talk to me about was that I was pregnant. It was the only thing about me. It became my whole personality. I hated that. And then she says the change to motherhood has been especially difficult after spending so much of her life developing her own career, social circle, and personal interests and aspirations, something that past generations of mothers who tended to become parents younger may not have experienced as fully.
In other words, downgraded from human to mother, basically from man to woman. Okay, that's what she should have said. because the only human that feminists see is a man. If you don't act like a man, compete like a man, earn money like a man, aspire like a man, then you're not a human. Okay, woman is something to be spit upon.
That, ironically, is one of my arguments for getting married earlier rather than later, by the way, for this exact reason, so that you're not in this boat. So talk to us about what that's like to go from the paycheck and the pat on the back to this constant life of sacrifice.
Yeah, it is hard. I had my son when I was 30. So I guess now that's kind of considered young, which is kind of crazy. It would have been so much easier if I would have had him when I was 25, because Luke and I have talked about this substantially.
What's peak age to get married, folks? 26. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why do you think a lot of cultures said you're leftover after 25? Just what she's saying, right? All these problems will crop up after she gets married after 25.
But like where I was at in my career, I was making a lot of money. And so to step back from that, our lifestyle wasn't going to change drastically because Luke does well too, but I had to give up a lot of money. And I had to give up, the main thing for me was pride, because in my career, I had achieved this success.
Say it again, white girl. Say it again, white girl. Pride, ego.
That was tied to my identity. And so it was like, oh my God, I'm like giving up who I am to be a mom. And I can relate to what that lady is saying, as sad as that is, about being downgraded. What were the words?
Well, I get that. Yeah, she said from human to woman. Now,
yeah, because
if you're a mother, I would get it, but that's kind of extreme to say that you're not looked at as a human just because you have a child.
Well, I think what she means by that, and I can relate to this, is she means like in this feminist BS that we've been pushed on us for all these years, and especially if you are in the corporate world, it's just equal. Like you're equal to a man, especially if you're like making as much money as the men and you've achieved the same level of success. So she's saying, I had achieved that, and now I'm actually, there's something that's differentiating me from a man now. Well, yeah, no crap, you know.
Say it again, white girl. Say it again, white girl. Speak.
Man can't have a baby. So yep. I can relate to that feeling. Now, it took me a while, but I did get excited about having my son. So I hope that she found that and didn't just see it as like this huge burden and this horrible thing. But it took me a while. It took me like 6 months to process being pregnant before I accepted, like, I'm having a baby and this is a good thing. I'm excited. And it's sad, you know, that I felt that way. But I think that probably a lot of women that were in my shoes did. So if you do it younger, you're not as selfish and set in your ways and in your lifestyle, and you're not used to this, you know, bigger amount of money that you've amassed and all this stuff. So also it's just easier physically on your body if you do it younger, because you have more energy and you can bounce back quicker and lose the weight quicker. And all. There's so many reasons to do it while you're younger, but that's not encouraged anymore. So you don't see that as much. But the transition for me that was so difficult at first, like the first month or two, and it's still very difficult because this is all new to me. I just quit a couple months ago. It's the appreciation and the words of affirmation. So for me, like, I didn't care about the money I was making. Like that was great, you know, wonderful. But like, I liked the success aspect of it and the acknowledgement of me doing a good job. And so when your husband comes home, when he's exhausted and, you know, he doesn't acknowledge the 6 loads of laundry that you've folded and done, and the dinner that you've spent all these hours on, plus keeping the kids alive and trying to teach them something valuable and feed them and all the diapers, like there's just no acknowledgement for any of that. And when you're used to, you know, clients or your boss or whoever patting your back all day long for doing a good job, that's really hard. And then there's no paycheck to go with it either. So it's like, okay, this is hard. But one thing I will say, you made a comment that like it takes a long time to see, I don't know what you said exactly, like the fruits of your labor, or yeah. For me, because I was absent for the 3 years, I have already started to see in just the few months that I've been home, little things that make it worth it for me. Like last night we were sitting on the couch and Mac like climbed into my lap and he was like, I love you, Mom. It was like super cuddly and stuff. And he never used to do that with me before. And so because like we're rebuilding this relationship and forming this bond, there are little moments where I'm like, okay, what I'm doing is making a difference. And so you have to hang on to those, because especially if you're not getting it from your husband, not that your husband has to like pat your back all day long or anything like that, but it's just hard when you're used to the appreciation in your job and you don't get it at home. That's difficult.
And Luke should do that. And we're gonna get on him on that one, aren't we, Liz?
He's not terrible. Like, I'm not saying he never says it. It's just not the equivalent of what I was receiving.
No, well, no. And I think you're right to notice it more from your children, because that's really where it's going to come from, that you'll notice it. And that's a perfect example. I'm so glad you brought that up, because you just hit the nail on the head. That is the payment.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. I mean, when he was crawling into your lap and you felt that for the first time, there's no way you can tell me that that's not worth anything else you could ever get from the
Yeah.
from the marketplace.
Some women say it, some women love it, and some women hate it. You know,
Right?
There's no amount of money or anything that I could get for my job that would replace that. And it's also just like, I'm a Christian, and so I'm like, okay, this is God just humbling me. Like, you don't need that money
Yeah.
to show you that you're appreciated and that what you're doing matters. And so it's like, okay, God, you're right.
And Liz, you're going to get more and more and more of that. I mean, I'm just so excited to hear back from you in over the coming years, because it's just going to get better and better. I'm so super psyched for you.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I just know you got to put a lot of work in, and you're not seeing it all the time. So it's like,
Oh.
I try to remember those little moments and hold on to them, especially on the really shitty days.
Good. Awesome. And another thing that people don't hear nearly enough of, that I ran across the other day, that I want to read from Yahoo, about, this example is Giada De Laurent. I never can say this right. Just the Food Network gal.
Oh yeah, De Laurentiis. She's hot. I like her.
Yeah. So this article was all about, you're just your typical media asking her, how do you do it? You have a child and you have this incredible career, which, by the way, is like 0.2% of the careers that would exist for the average person. It's definitely unique. But she was bold enough to say, when asked about that it came at a cost.
it does.
Good for her.
She said, I was married, quote, for 12.
It's a trade-off. It's a sacrifice, which we don't talk about all the time. It's a sacrifice.
Years, and I got divorced. It is definitely at a cost. And in the previous paragraph, she was talking about, she said, I mean, being a chef and having multiple restaurants, you don't have Christmas, you don't have the holidays. It's very difficult to raise a family and do all of that. She has one 14-year-old daughter with her ex-husband. And I think that is it is a critical message for which we are completely silent on, because there are very few people who are willing to admit that behind what you see, and this leads really well into my next question, behind what you think you see as being real is a shit show. It's an utter shit show, and relationships are ruined and lives are destroyed, and nobody wants to talk about it. Which brings me to a question to ask about to you. And that's,
Black women lie about it all the time, about how successful they are, happy they are. They lie about it all the time, about being single mothers.
Social media. When I was your age, again, no social media didn't exist. So I'm curious.
And we're gonna go like 3 or 4 more minutes, and we're actually gonna allow people to actually come up and comment for 30 minutes, and then we're gonna close this out.
I'm not really curious. I mean, I am curious for your particular example because I'm aware of it, but it's always nice to hear from someone who's dealing with it firsthand. What is social media like, having that in your world with respect to everything we're talking about? What's that like?
It's terrible. I think that most people are smart enough to realize, like, when you get on somebody's Instagram or whatever, like, it's their highlight reel. So they know, like, life cannot be this beautiful vacation all the time. But I don't think people are humble enough to say, looking at it all the time can't still help but impact the way that I think about myself and I think about life. So they can look at it on this like macro level, but I don't think they understand how much damage it's doing to them by looking at it all the time. So like, not only if you take out all the Instagram models that have 5 filters on their face and all this plastic surgery and stuff, and just leave that out of it and just say, okay, I'm only comparing myself to other moms here. There are not very many of them on there that are honest about the hard stuff in life. Like, nobody wants to put that stuff on there. Everybody just wants to put on their pictures with their makeup and their kids in monogrammed outfits and stuff like that and pretend it's all good and dandy, and it's not. And then to be real frank about it, like, the moms that are working full time and trying to raise kids, they're definitely not.
Man, but have you noticed, man, there's a difference between Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, okay? Now, Instagram and Facebook, okay, it's all the highlight reels, right? Them going out to dinner, their small smiles, but the shit show, their angst and them complaining goes on TikTok, man. Nigga, nigga, what goes on TikTok is hilarious, man. We have to get into that one day. The difference between social media and difference between TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram and Facebook. Complete difference. Thank you, MLR, for the Cash App. Thank you, Salty Balls and Machismo TV, our new MTV, for the Cash App. And thank you, Todd, for the Cash App. Appreciate you. So do a little bit more, and then we're gonna actually bring people up.
Not going to put on there like, oh, I've had Uber Eats 7 times this week. My kids have had no real nutrition. My husband and I hate each other, and my kids are brats, and I hate myself because everything sucks. Like nobody's saying that on social media.
On TikTok, they say all of that. Okay.
And thankfully, you, my mom, your generation didn't have to deal with that. And there are a few good things that come from it. Like, I follow this toddler lady who has recipes on how to get kids to eat vegetables. Like, okay, yeah, that's one good thing or whatever, but that definitely doesn't make up for this self-doubt that it puts in your head and this comparison game that we play all the time.
Yes.
And it also, I think for me, I've noticed that, like, I was reading this thing the other day that said the human brain is not meant to know about every catastrophe that happens in the world. So, like, we know about every earthquake, every tsunami, every bombing, everything like that. That wasn't how it used to be.
Okay. All right. Let me play a little bit more, and then we're gonna.
Just 50 years ago, nobody knew all that stuff. Now we know all that, but also to bring it to a parenting level, now they have moms with so much anxiety because you think if you open up your door, your kid's getting kidnapped, raped, anything, because you see all these stories that I don't know if they're happening more or we just know about more of them because we have all this information at our fingertips. But I feel like moms are afraid to let their kids live. It's like causing moms to be helicopter parents. And that's not good because kids need to explore and learn. And I'm not saying be negligent or not be around, but like let them get hurt and things like that. And because you see like, oh, well, this one kid got on a trampoline and then, got brain damage from the rest of his life. These moms are like, I'm never going to let my kid get on a trampoline ever. And it's like, oh my God, that was 1 in a million. But you're seeing that story. So it's
In other words, it's amplifying the real world, and it's not meant to. Salute, Master Teacher BGS. Long live, good brother. Long live, doing the yeoman's work for the community. Thanks for the sacrifice and knowledge. Appreciate you. All right.
going to impact you. And that's what I hate about it is I feel like it's just adding all this stress and anxiety that is not necessary. And I don't see that the benefits are outweighing the negatives. I just don't see that at all.
Couldn't agree more. And if anyone who just heard that.
All right. We'll end it there. Bring up AB. What's up, AB?
Hey, what's going on, BGF?
What's happening?
Can you hear me?
I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Well, it took a while, but it looked like Feminism is finally starting to die out.
Well, yeah, because the environment and reality is starting to set in. Thank you, Mojo, for the Cash App. Yes, we're under stress. We got inflation. We got people losing their jobs. Okay.
You mentioned
what?
You mentioned TikTok. I think that's one of the reasons they kind of want to tame down TikTok because a lot of the truth's starting to get out on over there.
Oh man, I mean them white women and them black women.
Oh yeah, you ain't
like
lying.
hell. They complain like hell, man. They telling us all kinds of truths on TikTok.
I don't want to be independent no more.
No, maybe if I can find it again, there was a story about this black woman actually pulling up to her mother's house and telling the kids to get out, and
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and saying she got 3 kids and saying that she don't want to be a mother no more, and it's her mother's job to actually raise her kids because she want to go off with her dude and be happy.
Yeah,
because they're tired of being a mother. And the first thing she said, "You didn't train me for this. It's your fault." So you got stuff like that going on. If you guys want to come up, winter is here, man. Winter is here, but we're in the middle of winter right now.
you ain't lying.
There he
Look
is.
what
What's up, Sauchi?
Good evening. Good evening.
You off the road?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Come on, Salty.
Yeah, we're gonna
How we
do
doing?
about 30 minutes, and then we're gonna close out. Go ahead, finish your thought, AB, and then Sauchi.
But yeah, you're not lying about TikTok. That's why I heard that white woman came out and told Stacey Abrams, "We'll never let you get in power over us." I was like, well, at least she's honest about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Basically, black women have no rights that a white woman is respect. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's something Toya had said. I have to clip that and make it a standalone, right? Because Toy had said something about modern black women, right? About how angry they were all the time, right? And being around them is negative, and they're mad all the time, right? And I was going to clip that from James Baldwin. He said being a Negro is to be in a constant state of rage. And I was actually going to paraphrase that being a modern black woman is to be in a constant state of rage, because that's what they are. They're angry all the time. They're not happy about shit. Uh, they're pointing fingers at everybody else except themselves, but they're not willing to fix the problem.
Well, just real quick before Salchi gets in,
Good.
that's totally true. How many times have you heard a black woman say, I can't hang around other black women?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
And I think that's the reason.
because it's negative, and there's Toya. Yeah, black women aren't happy unless they have something to complain about, right? And like I
That's
said,
true. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do that video after we get off, man. I think I'm gonna paraphrase that, because what she said was very poignant. It kind of brought to mind what James Baldwin said, some 60 years ago, right? About the
Right.
constant state of rage, and that's what you see, man. In the out in the streets in real life, man, on TV, in social media here, when they interact with black men, it's a constant state of rage, even amongst themselves, right? Man, they were vicious when they came after FBK Williams, even though she was speaking the truth, right? A
Yeah.
constant rage. When Tyler Perry said what he said, right? They were vicious coming after him. Okay, that's what I mean about the constant state of rage. It's gotten to the point where they can't be happy. Anyhow.
Yeah, the Iron Bank practically accused Ebony Cake Williams of sucking up the black men. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. She didn't even mention. But that's not even fair. She didn't even mention black men. Come on,
well, Ebony K. Williams don't like black men. She wants to be Mrs. Cartwright.
Yeah, stop the cat.
Correct.
Let me go ahead, Salchi.
Yeah, BGS, you working overtime right now.
What you saying? He's the final boss, huh?
He's the final boss, man.
In fact, my mentor, man, he's got a bunch of things going on, man, amongst the conservative black men in the United States and also on the continent, man. He wants me to get back involved with the group again. So I told him to reach out. So I might have to do double time. So,
I think it's just being a pragmatist, man. It's, and I've been saying it for over 10 years now. It's it's pretty much a wrap for the most part, because I mean, it's unfortunate, but how long will it take them to reprogram themselves? What, 2 to 5 years, and then they have to change the environment and change the people around them. So once they hit 30, it's pretty much. I mean,
you can't change the BIOS of a computer. Okay,
exactly.
So you have to program around those holes. So in other words, just like the white woman said, I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to mother. But I have to write code around that. I have to learn how to adjust to that, right? Black women are going to have to learn how to do it. The thing is, okay, it's a perfect storm, right? Number one, okay, they don't have time because of the economy.
Exactly.
Okay. Number two, they got severe competition from other women, right? Okay.
Bingo.
Severe.
Just inside the United States, they also have severe competition with around the world because of people like Sauchi and folks like that can be passport bros, right? So they have compete against 4 billion women on the planet, right? They don't have time, man. So basically, they're behind the 8 ball. You can't. Go ahead.
I can tell you right now, guys, in my circle, guys, the higher income earner guys and all that stuff, and they've been saying it for a while, even in finance. I mean, to the point where, and we're talking white guys now, where they're blatantly saying, just don't even waste your time with American women. Like, they're just saying it publicly now. And when they're saying it, it's over. Yeah. It's over, man. And then unfortunately, like, they're not even competing. So it's like,
they don't know how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and this is why I tell the guys, I say, don't even waste your time, because these women, they have weeded themselves out. And I say that with no passion at all. It is what it is. But it's like, because you don't want to waste your time, even though you have more time in a sense. You don't want to waste your time. They're showing you who they are. Believe that with their actions, and you move forward and you keep them out so they don't destroy your shit.
Like the middle school teacher, man, that was teaching 12-year-olds, man, 11 and 12-year-old kids, right, male and female, right. That stuff is being passed down. That's Generation A, okay.
Yep.
And they're coming up with the same ideology that you got women that are in their 70s have, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that? Okay, they can't change. Okay? You can't do anything with it. They can't change. We'll get to you in a minute, Terrence. Right after Saucy finishes his thought.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and the last point was, and a lot of times, a lot of the guys on here, they say it's basically the ADOS women, but and this may be the second or third time I'm mentioning this publicly, but I think a lot of these guys are missing the fact that, again, the environment shapes what?
Yeah, behavior. Yeah,
exactly. So when the African women, Caribbean women come here, many of them take on the same traits.
Yes,
the vast majority of them actually do.
Yeah.
And again, I've seen it within my family. So, I've been seeing this stuff since I was a kid. So, like, this is why I say when there's infighting between, guys who weren't born here and guys who, it's like, dude, like, we're all here in the same environment, and pretty much the women still assimilate a large percentage of them. So it's like, just learn from each other and move forward.
Yeah. All you can do. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why you have to go to a traditional society and get a woman that's older than 16, right? That's been trained and socialized to be a wife, because they don't make them here anymore. They don't make wives in America anymore. They just don't.
Right.
No.
So you expect a woman, American woman, to act like a wife. Basically, you're getting, you're trying to make a Volvo into a truck.
Because
Can it haul stuff? Sure. Can you pull stuff with it? Sure, but it can't do the same job as a truck can, because it was never built to be that way.
Exactly.
That's because it's frowned upon. I mean, I've seen even white women use the term "pick me."
Yeah. Oh.
If you go on TikTok, you'll see white women use the term "pick me."
Oh yeah. They're learning from the best. What can I say?
Oh yeah, you would think they look at their results and be like, nah. I think some of the older feminists are doing it, like the video you just saw that you just played. But the younger ones, from what I'm seeing, is 50-50. To be honest, I do see it more with the uglier women or white women. But when I see more pretty,
they have left. Pretty women have a lot of cushion. I got a pretty daughter.
Yeah.
Pretty privilege. They give you a lot of cushion. Okay.
Well,
ugly women don't have that cushion. Go ahead.
Like, I came to a philosophy of just listening to women over time, and you correct me because you're older than me. I realized whatever a woman complains about, whatever type of man she complains about, is the man she qualifies for. Because
Yes.
I noticed that the women that are pretty, nice, and all that stuff, they don't have those type
that's
of
true.
complaints. And if you look at when there's a woman complaining, and you look at, you just pay attention, if it's a group of women, there's that one group of women looking around like, what the heck is she talking about? But she stays quiet because she doesn't want to be orchestrated from the group.
Yeah. In other words, you can only complain about your experience, right? Because if you complain about a dusty dude, that's because you date dusty dudes.
Exactly. Case in point. Because
thank you, Salty. Appreciate you.
Because it's funny, because women like to use that logic on us.
Yes.
Oh, that's because you butthurt. Like, men that got it going on, they don't have these type of complaints, which technically is true to a certain degree. The only reason I say certain degree is because even guys who quote unquote select, I'm just using that term.
Yeah.
We know they have the same complaints, or it's a little bit different.
Salty, I did get the cash app, man. I shouted you out for the cash app. Appreciate you.
Yeah, well, we know those guys have the same complaints, or they just don't deal with them. And then they wonder why somebody. I'm just using these terms, Chads or Tyrones, whatever. The high value.
You guys, I would say I'm not going to shout you. I'm not going to bust you guys out, but the majority of you guys up here make either six figures or very close to it. Okay, and you guys are educated. The majority of you guys. I'm not saying everybody, but you guys are actually educated, and you guys have the same complaints.
Right.
Same complaints.
That's true. With my experience, right? For the most part, women just know that I just don't fuck around. Like they'll publicly say, like, you seem like the type that'll just drop a woman.
I'm losing myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you are. You become a better woman. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Jump in there, Seth.
Oh, I'm taking it all in because I was sitting here listening to Suzanne Venker, who I've listened to her before. And it all comes back to the same thing. Because this isn't the first time that Western civilization has taken this turn.
No.
And I had come to the conclusion that it always realigns itself because it's never been sustainable. Never.
It's got to crash. So
it's gonna crash. It's like a bubble. It,
yeah.
it gets so big and then it bursts.
It bursts, yeah.
And then, the women have to get their asses right back in place. And then the men have to step up to correct the errors that they've made in letting them get out of control.
Yeah.
They got to clean the shit that, the women shit all over the floor and the men come and clean it up. And that's how it goes.
Well, that's they call that progress, right?
Yep.
It's definitely a cycle because you read history, you look at Rome, they let women, vote and stuff like that. Like you look at different cultures, there's always this period of time where they let women do stuff and then gets crazy, of course, and then we go back to the past. So I just think that's what we're dealing with right now.
They said this. I probably have to go back to the paper. They said this when they gave women control of the children, right?
Yep.
If you give women control of the children, then marriage is probably going to be decimated, and they were right. That was in 1839 with the custody of infants.
Yep. Why is that?
It is because a woman will, nobody's going to walk out and lose everything, right? And what's the most valuable thing to a woman? Her children, right? If she knows that she's going to lose her children for walking out of a marriage, she's going to stay. Okay.
Oh, that's why the marriage rate was so long back in the day. Oops.
Why the what was so what?
So that's why they stayed married back in the day. Oops.
Yeah, because she was going to lose everything. But over time, culturally, it takes a long time to actually change, right? So custody of infants in 1839. If you go fast forward 150 years with 7 generations, it's about right. So that's like a marriage is starting to disintegrate.
Because I think in Muslim divorces, the kids go with the man. Am I mistaken?
And the patriarchy, the men, the children go with the man. In Western Islam, right, like especially Black Islam, guess who gets to kill children when they leave?
Oops.
The woman. So Islam is just as much of Black Islam is as much of a gynocracy as Christian.
Can I ask you something? I've been thinking about this for a long. Is it just natural for Black people to be kind of lean towards matriarchy naturally?
No. Well, all human beings lean toward matriarchy naturally. But me and Dr. T we're talking about this, right? Because Jung said that that a masculine, like a empaths or a female mind or female leaning leans toward connection, right? And connection is in small groups because in a small group it works. A matriarchy will work because if a kid cuss up at school, teacher can say, "I'm gonna go talk to your mama," and your mama will correct you, right? Because you know everybody. You know you're not gonna steal from the neighborhood store because guess what they can do? They can call your mama, call your parents. Your parents, like the old school, like I think in the Caribbean, if you cut up with the teacher, basically you can get a beating when you get home because you're connected, right? Okay, you don't need laws and rules as much because custom and connection will rule, right? Matriarchy is good for that, right? But if you get past that, where you don't know the people, you're not connected with the people. What do you have to have? You have to have laws and rules, right? And guess what mind dominates for that?
It's the masculine.
It's the masculine mind.
Yeah.
So as society gets bigger, you start losing those intimate connections.
Yeah.
Then you need a patriarchy. That's how come you see patriarchies dominate now, is because the population has grown. In small groups, in small villages, stuff like that. Even with Black folks in the rural South, when you have small clans of people, okay, matriarchy is fine.
Go ahead.
One at a time. Who's first?
Just one last one. The reason why I said that is because I look at the cultures, right? Let's look at African culture. They weren't warring with each other as much as the European. They were warring, but not to the degree of the European culture.
It would be because you didn't have as many people, okay, and weapons and stuff like that. So people are actually built to cooperate way more than they are to actually
exactly.
What I was saying is because there's more resources in Africa versus Europe, and then it's a bigger continent, so they had more space, so they want to interact. So where in Europe, cold winters, they had to go to other villages and attack and kill and pillage. You know.
Yeah, well, if you can't eat in your village, what you have to do, you got to go take it from somebody else.
And my point I'm trying to say is that because the history is so like that, the women, they realize you might as well stick with the men. You follow what I'm saying?
No, I mean, men and women have always been stuck with each other. That's not, the thing is, how do you organize people?
Yeah.
How you organize people different. Got to remember, people think Africa is one big place. It's not. Okay,
Yeah.
you got 5,000.
Very big.
You have 5,000
yeah.
different peoples on the continent of Africa, right? And they all have slightly different cultures. Okay, so even in a place like Ghana has 20 different tribes, right? Okay,
Yep.
and they all organize their people a little bit differently, like the Akan or matriarchs. Okay, and the children and the lineage and the property all go through the maternal line. Okay.
It's 1,500 languages in Africa.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So basically, people keep centering on, well, in Africa they did this, which tribe and which part, because Eastern Africa is not Western Africa, right? Liberia, where Salty comes from, is not Ghana or Nigeria. Okay.
Yep.
Even in Ghana, they got three main tribes that all act differently. Okay, so you have to be careful when we say that about societies. Okay, especially about Africa. Okay,
I agree with that.
Anyway,
because we got to look at. I think one of the things that we do a lot on these panels is that we don't look at the constants.
Yeah,
and I think that's because how society is arranged in the West right now is unnatural. This is not the way we're used to living.
Yes.
And so
it's an adaptation.
It's an adaptation. It's a very new one too. And so basically we're not used to this. And then when it comes to Black people, I often have to remind, young men that we're still the newest ethnicity on the planet.
Yes.
And we are just, in the grand scheme of things, Black American men and women are simply infants.
Yes.
So I don't expect us to, when we're saying, why don't we do this? Why won't we do that? I don't expect us to be able to do that at this point because we're just too new.
So do this goes to the fact that when Dr. Nellie Fuller say that we are children, does that go to that premise?
I think when I talk to him, I think he kind of leans toward that, but also that he comes from the premise that, well, our parents are actually white people, okay?
That's
because
true.
They're the ones that actually formed this culture, and we still respond to them as parents. We still take their lead in things, okay? As far as how to arrange our families, our jobs, what we do, we still lean towards them, even though we have our slight differences. But the thing is, the majority of our culture is actually white culture. So they still are our parents because they run the society. Okay, I think that's what he meant.
So we're basically stepchildren in this culture.
We in a sense, in a sense, we're not stepchildren because they're actually created by white people. Okay, but we're actually literally the black sheep of the family. Okay,
yeah, we're the abused children.
We're the abused children of the family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense. Okay. It makes sense now. You said the black sheep. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
And slavery never ended.
Yeah, it's okay. The slavery ended, but the thing is that the effects of anything, effects of slavery, effect of anything on a culture, right? We're still we still got to remember, Western patriarchy was invented by the Hittites, man, some 3,500 years ago. We still have the effects of that. Thousands of years later, culture just doesn't disappear just because some institution ends.
Yeah, like the doctor said, the forensic pathologist said one time, if you have a fan running, you can turn the fan off and there's no power, but that doesn't stop the blades from keep
spinning or the currents from moving.
Right.
And also slavery ended, but guess what? They had to put you back into semi-slavery because guess what 70% of your GDP came from?
Exactly.
Right.
Slaves and cotton,
sugar,
tobacco.
Economists were saying, I think Wolf was just saying the same thing. Okay, you had to transition out of the slave economy into a new economy. That doesn't happen at the end of a war. Okay,
Right.
Nope.
So how do you get the people that were working for you for free back to work at a reduced cost? Okay?
Yeah.
Convent leasing. Okay, Jim Crow, sharecropping. You stealing their wages, all that kind of shit. They had to put you back where you were. and that didn't end until what, 1965.
And then Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution at this second calls us 3/5 of a human being.
Damn.
That was
That was a
okay.
compromise.
There was
yeah.
a compromise for voting. It was not
Yes.
a compromise as far as your stature as a person. Okay.
Oh, that's voting.
It was
Yeah,
voting
we
only.
can.
And in other
Okay.
words, the majority of people in the South were black. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So they didn't have enough votes to enact anything from the South. So guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna count the slave as 3/5 of a person.
But it's isn't that in the Constitution?
Yes, that's in the Constitution. I mean, let me give you some perspective on this because I
Yeah.
I did a lot of study on this.
Yeah.
The 3/5 compromise, because I mean, after the Constitutional Convention, and they sent their representatives up, even with the 3/5 compromise, the South still dominated representation in Congress.
Yeah.
That's how many slaves there were.
Yes.
And so this idea, I mean, it really flies in the face of this idea that slaves were not really citizens because they were counted as citizens for representation purposes.
Right. Yes.
Yep.
But but we did not have the same protections.
Yeah.
Pseudo
reparations.
citizen. You're saying pseudo citizen.
No. They were pseudo citizens. What I'm saying is we can't. When you say 3/5 of a person, you got to kick it in context of what it was actually for. It had nothing to do with you. Still didn't have any rights. But the thing is, how do you get representatives now in Congress? By what?
Districts.
No, not district, but by what? By what?
Population.
By population.
That's right.
Okay. So if you don't have enough white people, guess what you're gonna get in Congress? Not enough votes, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Got to start
Just
counting
like you
black
ain't
people.
got enough black men, guess what you ain't getting in Congress?
That has
Votes.
no.
They answer the black women because they outnumber us and they the loudest ones. And Congress listen to black women.
That is a different thing altogether. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's partially true, but that's the biggest voting block is white women.
Yep.
Yep.
Biggest voting block is
BGS.
white women. Yes, sir.
I teach you BGS. I just made it back from Winnipeg. I was up there like since Monday.
Okay.
And it's so crazy when you see how their laws and how their culture is like structured differently than America.
Yeah.
Like because when you said like it was mostly how it used to be, that they were trying to discount us and not like as you said we weren't really human. And they did this, and then you look at
you were property. You weren't a human.
Exactly.
I know, but once you look at what they did to the Native Americans, because it was more natives than whites.
Yeah.
Right. As they started to take over the country and or over Canada, and then they started these programs where they didn't let them vote. So I was in their human museum.
Well, because natives even today they have to be counted differently because natives are not part of the United States.
Exactly.
They have their own nation. They're considered their own nation.
Yeah, I actually met a Navajo lady about 2 weekends ago in my town, and she said, "Oh, I just moved from Phoenix," and she was explaining. She's like, "We're our own nation."
Their own nation,
and
they are.
She's like, "We're our own nation, and America they can't come in, right? They can't so if criminals they'll rob a bank in Phoenix and they'll drive into Navajo land to get away from the cops."
Yeah.
And she said that they'll call and say, "Hey, Indian police, Navajo police, will you please stop them?" Right? And they'll be like, we'll think about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they're considered sovereign nation. That's how come voting for them. I think they weren't allowed to vote till like 1920 or so.
Oh, it's insane. Like in Canada, it's insane. Like it's crazy up there. Like they don't call it a bathroom; they call it a washroom, and it's all inclusive everywhere you go. So when I took my daughter in there, we were confused. We're like, okay, where's the men's bathroom? Where's the women's? No, and you can go into any bathroom you want to.
Yeah, the feminism is taking over.
Canada is barbecue.
Yeah. I mean, but Europe's been lots of parts of Europe's been that way for a while.
Well, a while, yeah.
Really?
They've accelerated this. This is where it started. They've accelerated this. But who else wants to get in? Because we got I'll give you guys 20 more minutes and then I have to bounce.
Okay.
Actually, 3/5 of a human.
Well, we're not. That is not the subject of the talk today, sir. Is it?
No. Suzanne Banker.
We've answered the question. We've given you time to answer. We answered the question, but the thing is, this is not an open forum today. We have a topic.
Oh, okay. Groomed
BGS.
again?
BGS, can I ask you a quick
groomed.
question on what you played earlier with the white women and stuff?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's what the
Okay.
topic is.
The one thing that I did appreciate about you sharing that was the white women didn't pull any punches. They were just straight because they were like, yeah, I've been through that. And they were sitting there really trying to work out what the problem was and trying to fix the problem so they like screw up again. And then they worked out other problems because they were bouncing off ideas and stuff they dealt with. But they were legitimately trying to fix the problem, so it wasn't a problem for their family. But when it comes down to the other side of when black women talk or whoever talks, whatever, it ain't the same thing. They don't realize that, hey, look, I might have screwed up. I can fix it and make it better. It might take some time, but I'm gonna keep on working to make it better. And that was a thing where I noticed in that one that it wasn't any hostilities. They ain't said white men is crap, everybody's crap, and it's everybody's problem. They realized they were a problem and they want to fix it.
It be because white women are trained to serve their man, right?
Right.
In the black community, black men are trained to serve their women. We're upside down. Okay.
And our women,
One at a
black
time.
females.
Somebody was next. Who was next?
Hold on. I was gonna say something real quick. Yeah, like the whole nonsense where they be like, "Oh, we didn't know." That's BS. Because let's keep it real. All these women claim they go into the white universities. Okay, they all know about Ring by Spring. They all around these white women. They talk about this in college. You know what happens is they look at the white women like you're dumb. Because think about it. There are feminine black women. What happens when a feminine black woman's around regular black women?
In other words, what are the white women? What do the white women say? Right, even that. Right. I'll probably will actually play. I probably might do that tomorrow. Where I actually play. What's her name? Susan Patton. Right. Princeton mom. She said the same shit.
I was
The
about to
ring
say
by
that.
spring. Right. They're trained by their mothers to seek this. Right. Even amongst when Ebony K. Williams, when the caller came in, what did she say? My grandmother and mother taught me to do what?
Get a job.
Take care of the house.
Prioritize school and job and career, and then what? Last, if God so blesses me,
Miraculously,
a husband, right? Buzzer beater, right? Okay. So in other words, it's called culture. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. Somebody was next.
Hey,
that was me.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the white woman, like the brother pointed out, is not vicious because like
she can be.
Yeah, she can be.
She's not vicious again.
Her focus is different. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, she's not as vicious.
Well, she's not as masculine as black women are.
Right. Because our women have been weaponized against us, and they're our greatest enemies.
I wouldn't say enemies. What the thing is that okay. And this is the difference is culture, right? Okay.
Yes.
Well, like you said so beautifully, that they were black females were never brought over here to be our wives.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes, BGS, you said that.
I know, but they're not. What I'm saying, they're not your enemies. What I'm saying is they have been socialized.
They're not my friend.
Oh my goodness, no, yo.
Sorry.
Yo.
Not trying to interrupt you.
So your mother doesn't love you.
Oh man, how many times did my mama tell me that she loved me? Oh shit, I could count on one hand.
So your mama don't love your mother
tried to kill me. My mother tried to kill me.
Well, most men, including mine, including me, my mother loves me. But the thing is, that's not. She's socialized to treat me differently. Okay.
Yes.
And
she
what? Let me fucking finish. Okay. Unless you know what I'm getting ready to say. Okay. I've been trying to tell you. We're trying to break this shit down so you guys can actually understand it instead of reacting emotionally like you're doing right now. Okay. Yeah. In other words, they're socialized differently. They're built to lead the family, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
have been from the
Yeah.
very beginning for the last 20, 50 years. They're taught to lead the family. They're taught that you're supposed to serve in a different way, right? Even you look at fences, right? Troy married, he was supposedly head of the family. But guess who he gave his check to when on payday? Gave it
Is
to Rose. Rose ran the family.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Yep.
Willie Lynch teaching.
In other words, most black. Here we go with this bullshit. But anyway, okay. most most in a white family, the men are taught to take care of the financing and take care of the bills, right? They're taught that, right?
Yes.
How is it taught in the Black American family?
The
The
opposite.
women, the opposite. That's what we're trying to say. It's an opposite way of looking at things, right? And when the shit works, if it works, it works, right? The thing is, when the environment changes, shit comes apart. That's what's happening. We have to understand
Shit.
how this stuff is actually put together, how these women are trained, because you can't unless you understand how these women are actually trained, okay, then you can't understand how to deal with them.
Exactly.
If you think they're your enemy, you shouldn't even fuck with them. Why you fuck with black women if they're your
Well, that's what the passports are for.
no.
Thank you.
Why do you
Thank
fuck
you.
with, so you never fuck with a black women? Black
Yeah,
women.
of course.
When I learned better, until I learned better in
So
the past,
you still don't do you still fuck with black women today?
on a very limited basis.
Why, if they're your enemy out to get you, why you fuck with them at all?
Same way the zookeeper got rattlesnakes and
The rat,
cobras in his zoo.
Oh my
He got bears and tigers in his zoo that are killing.
the tigers and bears and rattlesnakes that they keep are not their enemies.
What?
They're not their enemies.
Okay, why they got them in a cage then?
It's because that's their job. In other words, they have to take care of these animals. Okay,
To protect them from their enemy. Them things that eat them.
No. It's
Okay, all
not
right,
that
man.
they're
All right,
enemies.
all right,
What
man. All right,
DG
man.
has to
All
say,
right.
what he's saying is, he's not saying that they're enemies. It's just that those animals are gonna do what they're gonna do. A snake is gonna bite. But my biggest thing is, look, I guess I operate like a white man because I'm not giving her my money, and I also don't call them R.
Do you
Like,
date
that is,
them?
Let
Do
me
you
let me
date
ask
them?
a
no, no,
Dude,
no.
if you interrupt me one more time, I'll drop you, dude. Okay.
I just said let me ask a question.
No. Somebody's talking. We just asked a question, like 3 or 4. Okay.
No, I
Somebody's
didn't
talking.
ask 3 or 4.
You know what? Maybe it's time to go ahead and end this stream, right? Y'all calm down. I'm trying to finish your thought, bro.
Me?
No, not you. The brother was speaking that you interrupted.
No, animals do what animals do. So that's I don't look at black women as animals. I do just look at that they operate completely different than we do, than we need them to do to be organized.
As long as we were actually in line with how they were organized and how we were trained, we didn't have these problems. We're like 90% married. Okay. What happened? Okay. What did she say? When the government came in and gave them enough money to say fuck that nigga, shit came apart. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay. So now they allowed them to actually operate at their nature on a different level. Okay. But white women saw this. We can do the same shit. But guess what? Shit don't work. That's why you talk about it now. Okay. So the thing is, if I thought a black woman was my enemy, I wouldn't fuck with her at all, including my sister and my mother. Okay.
Can I ask a question now?
Yeah, you can ask the question now.
Okay. Now I don't think I can use the word, but they've had on a group of females that have had 30 to 50 million baby deletions for us.
26.
Okay, 26 million baby deletions. Do you consider that a friend?
A friend. The baby deletions.
You can either be a friend or an enemy. There's no choice.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, man. Finish your thought because you're gonna interrupt me every time. Go ahead. Finish
No,
your thought.
I'm just saying. I'm not interrupting. I'm interjecting.
Why are you interjecting?
You can only be a friend or an enemy.
Okay.
There's no middle ground.
Yes, there is. There's plenty of middle ground.
Okay.
Okay. Them having baby deletions has nothing to do with you.
What do you mean?
Has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their independence. Okay. And them being able to operate their own lives. It had nothing to do with you.
You don't consider that taking up an enemy position and joining being a general?
Has nothing to do, because they do that shit in China. They do this shit in Korea. Has nothing to do with you. Has everything to do with the environment. Children nowadays are not an asset; they're a liability. Okay, because you don't live on a farm. Farmer wives don't delete children, do they?
Right.
No.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Because they have to work the field and
Exactly. So
work.
what happens when you have children that you have to feed and there's no income with that child? Are they an asset or liability?
Problems.
Yeah, right.
Great
So
point,
it's no longer an agrarian society.
Imagine having 9 children, okay,
Right.
inside an urban area, okay,
Yeah, you're right.
with a small apartment, and you're poor, okay.
You're right.
Is that a problem with the female?
Great point.
No.
Yeah. Well, yes, because she opened her damn legs.
No, that's not what I asked you, sir.
But that's how I answered you.
No, what did I ask you?
Whoa.
What did I ask you?
You asked me if it was a problem
with the female, right?
And I said yes.
Okay.
Because she's supposed to be a responsible adult, or the responsible adults around her are supposed to keep that from happening.
Well, responsible adults would make your motherfucking ass marry her once you got her pregnant.
Say that again.
Responsible adults would make your ass marry her and take care of that woman and those kids.
Shotgun wedding.
Shotgun wedding. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't exist anymore. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And we're not the only ones that do that shit. In other words, what I'm trying to get you to see is her having abortions and taking care of kids has nothing to do with you.
Okay.
All right.
Sir.
That's what I'm
Yes,
trying to say.
Sir.
All right.
Sir.
I hope that's clear. Anybody else before I get too testy? Anybody else?
BGS, I have a question. So do you it's your belief that like only war or like I don't know, the asteroid coming, that's the only way we're gonna be able to reunite back to that 90%, or do we have to go back to Jim Crow days? You know what I'm saying?
No, it don't take an asteroid. It takes one bank run. Okay.
Yeah. Y'all underestimate how fragile the economy is.
The economy is. What happened when they stopped Russia from selling fertilizer? How many riots do you have across the world? Okay, huh?
Farmers threw a history fit.
Yeah, all over the world within 2 weeks. What happens if they stop shipping oil to your city?
Ooh, that's a cluster.
You see, they don't remember the gas lines of the 1960s.
What do you think would happen, sir?
No, when a white man cuts off welfare.
No.
Are you for real, man?
You think that's not possible?
No.
Do you see what's going on right now with Snap?
Let me ask you, man. Let me ask you. What happens if they stop shipping oil to where you live? You live in LA, right?
Me?
Yeah.
Oklahoma, oil capital of the world.
Yeah.
In other words, refined oil, right? What happens when they cut off power to your city?
Oh, cataclysmic proportions.
You won't be thinking about welfare. That's that shit.
So what happens when refineries stop working? What happened?
Oh, I saw it in 1983 in Tulsa. I was sitting in the middle of it, brother.
You ain't seen shit, man. You wasn't in the middle of nothing, man.
Yes, I was.
You ain't in the middle of nothing, man.
My people have oil land.
Dude. If they cut off electricity tomorrow, within 3 days, you have riots in the streets. Okay,
you ain't lying. I agree with you 100%. But another catastrophe could be the cutoff of welfare. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Cut off of welfare is nothing compared to.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not even gonna argue about it, man. Just stay quiet for a minute.
There's a level. There's levels to that one.
Yeah. No, just stay quiet for a minute. I don't want to get upset because when I say bank run, right? Okay, there's too many people on the planet to feed without fertilizer, without machines, and without this big connection we call a supply chain. Okay,
right. That's true.
Okay, and the thing is, even if you have oil and water and food, right? Okay, what happens to the next town when they don't have it? What are they gonna do?
They're coming into your
exactly.
They're gonna come to overthrow you.
Yeah.
So in other words, people do not, that is not the subject of today's talk, because I don't want to get upset about it, because I said there's 3 levels. Okay. Okay. You got to get to the elite level, dude. Okay. And now how fragile this whole system is, right? How fragile the whole system. Why do you think interest rates are going up? Because it's just because of jobs bullshit. Okay. With sanctions that happened a year and a half ago. That's what's
Look at SVB.
Yeah.
What almost happened in 2008 with the banks failing. Do you have a debit card, sir?
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
What happens when you go in with your debit
it's shut
card
off.
and it's shut off? Okay.
Yep.
What you gonna
Right.
do?
Oh yeah.
What you
Yeah,
gonna
it's
do?
coming.
No, no, it ain't coming. What you gonna do? That's what the question I asked.
Venezuela, anyone?
No. What you gonna do?
Find alternative sources for food and
Just be
supplies.
Oh
pissed
really?
off.
Oh really? So
I'll be
in other
pissed off it happened. I can't do
in
nothing about it. That's what it is.
in other words, you're gonna be pissed. Let's say you're trying to fill up the tank of your car and you're on E, right?
Right.
Car don't work, right? Go to get groceries. Car don't work, right?
Right.
Okay. You had to depend on what you got in your freezer. You got enough?
For a limited time.
You got enough. Limited time. What does that mean?
Like probably a 60-day supply, emergency kit.
Yeah, if you got an emergency kit and do your neighbors have the same thing?
Right.
Do your neighbors have the same thing?
You
I hope so.
Right.
Your neighbors have the
right.
your neighbors
No,
have the same
no,
thing. They don't.
we're not prepared. You're right.
Okay. And
Great Depression type stuff.
no, we ain't.
Oh
talking
no,
about
no.
You're talking about dystopia right here.
Yes.
dystopia. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna give Mr. Z the last word, and we're gonna get out of here because I don't feel like it has nothing to do with the subject today, right? We're not doing AMA. You can actually talk about this kind of shit, but things is going way off the topic. Okay. And the thing is, y'all need to study this shit because I've been studying this kind of shit for like 30 years, man. And what you're talking about is only good for like until you actually get away from civilization, right? That's the first thing. Food supplies are fine, but things you can't until they burn down your house for your food, okay? Because somebody wants your food. You got to get away from people. It's the first thing they say. Water, food will get you by for like 2 or 3 weeks until things can actually come back online. What if they don't? Okay, your ass need to be away from people as far as you can. That's why they call it. You ever heard of a bug out bag?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sir, have you ever heard of a bug out bag, sir?
No. What is that?
Find it. Look it up. What a bug out bag is. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, go ahead, Mr. Z.
I just wanted to come up here and say to everybody, stop pretending like y'all don't want plump, round, big booty Keisha. Right? Let's be very clear.
But they the enemy.
Right, and that's that's why I came up here, right? Once I heard data enemy, look, y'all just want her to be a little bit nicer. That's all it is.
But I got 9 inches in her guts, but she the goddamn enemy.
Hey, I got it right now.
Don't come over here with that bullshit, man. Y'all wouldn't be if y'all wasn't fucking women, black women.
Let's be very clear. If I put Ostefco in front of y'all right now, 7.5 out of y'all are going. 7.5 out of y'all are going if I put Ostefco in front of y'all right now. And about 5 of y'all will marry her. 5 out of 10 of y'all will marry her. Stop it.
I wish there wasn't.
I wouldn't touch her with BGS is dead.
I didn't say you. I ain't saying you.
I don't know.
Saying about,
hey, what do you say about that rock and a hit dog?
Right, exactly. Hey, you talking though? Exactly. Good point, BGS. You're talking though. Hey.
Anyway, go ahead, Mr. G.
And I came up for that, and I came up to tell the brother, look. If you don't know what a bug out bag is, nigga, you ain't ready. You ain't ready. If you don't know what a bug out, number one, number two, welfare. Let's say the government slashes welfare tomorrow. That it's not even in the. I don't even know how to say it. It's not even in the same universe as if we had like a type of nuclear war or anything like that, or anything dystopian or anything. Yeah, it's not even.
A systemic collapse is unimaginable right now.
Yeah, it's not even. You know what?
You could be drunk and you wake up with a fat chick and you gnaw off that arm and you got a bag next to you.
Whoa. If you wake up and you got 20 guys trying to kick in your door, that's when you know shit hit the fan. Okay?
And lastly, to the topic at hand, look, we see it right now with Ebony K. Williams. This is like the Black Manosphere dream. Like everybody that has a channel should be making constant streams. This lady is the gift that keep on giving. She won't shut up. Her ego won't let her. So just eat it. Like make money off
What's
of
up,
this
boss?
chick.
You believe now? You hold on. Oh no. Do you believe in that? Huh? Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. Come on. Do you believe?
You believe now, okay?
Yeah, get him, Dion.
And that's my point. Exactly. That's my point. She is what this is exactly what we've been saying. This is what Kevin was saying. This is what David Carroll was saying. This is what all of us have been, Sarge Willie P. All of us been saying this for what, a decade?
Yeah.
Right? This is what we've been, and Ebony K. Williams just keeps on going and going.
Because she's taught to be logical. That's her problem. Yeah.
And Mr. G and BGS. And BGS, can I
go ahead
BGS,
real quick and then
I just want to stop and just, can I give you your flowers, sir?
Oh, appreciate you,
like,
sir.
Like for real. No, seriously. Like I was driving home while listening to you, right? Because once you cross the border, you don't get no data. So I downloaded when you were talking about, I think it was 51. And I was like, I was looking for 52 yesterday. I was like, damn, he didn't do 52. And I said, oh man, I just wanted to hear your perspective. And I just wanted to thank you for allowing me up on today. I just wanted to give you your flowers, man, because you were right and you said it. You said they're already at the table. You just don't realize it. They back at the table. And then when she did what she did and she said what she said. And yes, and the last thing I'll say.
But the thing is, do you want them?
Exactly. No, but here's no. Okay.
For the period on
waiting
for you.
He said no. He said no.
Hold on.
No, it's okay. No.
Yo hablo español todos los días. Okay. So I look.
Mira.
No, if they're not black in Spanish, I don't want them.
I heard that.
My state don't even give me that option. You lucky ass bastard. You man, damn. Shoot.
No, what you mean? No, what you mean? No, it's called a passport.
Go ahead, Jules. You haven't got him. You need to close out. Go ahead, Jules.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good example of just there's two ways to look at this: externalizing versus internalizing. And you can see we've seen the results of them externalizing all these things that have come around from feminism, right? The baby deletions, the smortions, right? And then the ain't no shit attitude. And I've countlessly heard white women say, I wish I was as sassy as these black women, right? But that is changing in that these white women are internalizing, how can we self-reflect? And the black women are doing the same thing, except for they're coming at the table is they're going ace metaphor, and they'll talk about, how their body count shouldn't matter, right? Or that comedian Daphne, she's funny. She's very funny, but she was, she's talking about how she is single, but she wants to be with someone. But when you see her perform, her performativeness is like how she wants to be able to yell at a man.
Yeah.
Not a white man. Black man. She wants to get dog barking on.
Klingon versus Betazoid. So
yes. Do you want to be with Lorsa and Bator while they're coming at you with the Ka steel sharpened sword, and that's your only hope at a black relationship? I'm like, man, Dr. Thunder's gonna have to readjust his list because it's not making sense.
And Daphne doesn't have a. I mean, I've been watching her loosely, her comedy, and you could tell she's going further and further into misery land with the singleness. It's very clear, right?
How bad it's gonna get. She is arguably one of those women who's gonna be called up on Joe Rogan and really pop, and she will never have access to another man unless she will be dogged out by other successful celebrity types. Like, she is going to be cooked. That's the type of woman who's going to go through that. And a lot of other women. I mean, I had to let go of my
deep dark forest. And you got.
I had to let go of my girl in New York because I was just tired of her sending me these kind of low key dry begging texts. Look, I'm not funding your lifestyle in New York City.
It wasn't low key, man.
No, but she wasn't.
He's trying to protect her honor. I feel you.
Exactly. She was dry begging. Just
let him get that one, BGS. Let him get that one. He got to protect her honor. He got to protect her honor.
I'm not funding my lifestyle in New York City. I'm not funding her.
What? Oh, hell no.
That's just not going to happen.
Look, at the end of the day, what we're witnessing now, I agree with who said it. They are back at the table, but that didn't mean that they're not back at the table throwing a temper tantrum and banging on the desk and yelling and barking.
And being
What's
loud.
that damn dude
You're right.
from like Lord of the Rings talking about my precious? He wants that.
Gollum.
That's what they coming to the table.
Was it
right
Friegel?
now.
Friegel? Something like
It
that?
was Gollum.
Look here, we
Oh,
got
Gollum,
at the
yeah.
table right
Oh
now.
yeah, Gollum.
All right, y'all. All right,
Right,
closing thoughts,
bitches.
y'all.
That's
All
what
right.
we got.
Closing thoughts. Who's first? Anybody?
I'll start. Can I
Go
start,
ahead.
BGS?
Go ahead.
Thank you again. Thank you again, BGS. You inspire me. Been inspiring me for years. I'm traveling. I'm out of here November.
Okay,
Like I
cool.
said, you know what I'm saying.
Where you
I
going?
encourage. Brazil. We're landing in
Oh,
Brazil. Brazil first.
What
Colombia
city?
second.
don't
Rio.
matter.
Rio.
Don't
It
matter.
don't
Everybody
matter.
starts in
Right.
Rio.
Yeah,
Don't matter.
landed in Rio. Gonna be there for like maybe 14 days. Hit other cities.
Mhm.
Right. I'm traveling around
Mhm.
Colombia. Then
Mhm.
after that, hit Medi. Then go to Cali,
Mhm.
Bogota, and use Bogota because if y'all didn't know this, Bogota is an international airport there where you can get to Europe for like 200, $300. If y'all didn't know that, one way. You see what I'm saying? Bada boom, bada bing.
Hey,
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm
man,
done.
it's just the way you do it. That's how we do it. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
man. On
Anybody
the
else?
East Coast. Well, on the East
Yeah.
Coast, we go by way of Iceland if you want to get there cheap.
Who's next?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Per usual, you're the last boss, BGS. Jules, you ain't shit. You got me out here looking at white women saying, you got me calling white women flatbacks. And
Flatbacks.
flatbacks, yeah, you got to be around a little bit longer. You know what we talk about. Yeah, that's it. It was a good stream as usual. Like I said, man, for all the women 30 plus, for the most part, it's a wrap. I mean, I'm saying that respectfully.
Leftover women. Yeah.
Yes, it is what it is. We're back to reality. Yep.
Well, I guess I'll go next.
Sung Yu is the word. Sung Yu.
Okay. Well, my thing is this. I'm interested in women coming back to the table because not for them. What's going to be interesting to me is how the men are going to act. And so I'm just going to sit there and watch the symmetry take place.
Yep, they definitely laying on their stomach with their feet kicked up. That's it.
Oh my
Yes.
God. There you guys go.
So there's going to be a lot of infighting over these women. You just watch. I'm going to leave it there.
Will the simp chip, the Winter Soldier chip go off?
Yeah. We talk about like a niglet civil war or some shit.
I'll be her baby daddy number 4. Anyway.
And you know, like me and BGS, we too old for this shit. So
oh no, yeah. We like Lethal Weapon, and we too old for this shit.
Yeah.
You know? In fact, I'm at the point. I'm a trick for life now, man. If I didn't pay for it,
man,
I pay her to leave. I don't pay her to have sex. I pay her to leave.
When the old man shoot up the club, you know what? That means he messed with a young woman, and everybody been in the club.
Man,
So
I don't even want
to do no more.
I don't even want the bitch to know my address. You know, if I can help it.
I don't want her to know my email. Hell, I don't even know my own email. I want her to find out about it.
BGS said he give her his street name.
Look, man, I don't even want to go up in her stank. Let me rub it up against your thigh a little bit.
My street name is Negro Please. Negro Please is my street name. That's what I call.
But y'all take it easy.
All right. Who's next?
I'll be next.
Go ahead.
Look. Honestly, we being judged, valued, and condemned by women that expects you to go ahead and make that much, but she can't make it herself. She expects you to go ahead and fix her family, but she can't fix her own family. And then this chick goes sit there and say, "Well, he was too nice." So kiss our asses and die on. And you can go ahead and be all the man you want to be, but you can never scratch your balls.
Go ahead and wash that dog. Yeah. All right, go ahead. Who's next?
Yeah, I'll jump up. Sashi doesn't have to go for just the flatbacks. I mean, there's all sorts of ladies who are lovely, who have been well trained by their families, and you should consider them. You should also consider traveling. You should get your money up. As far as, I mean, he knows that one 100%.
These are the cats at the table, man, that don't heed, right?
Yeah, yeah. And man, that was a good clip that CJ shared about.
Is that Will Smith?
Could be a number of brothers.
One of them.
A lot of them just need to figure out how to solve their problems.
With the book.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Jules. Go ahead, Jules.
No, I think I'll pass on that deal. But yeah, spin the wheel again. Right. Thank you for having me up. Y'all have a good night.
No problem. I appreciate you. Who's next?
I'll go next. So,
Okay.
Great topic. As the white women were saying, they were socialized a certain way, and you're gonna see this. You're gonna see white women and Latinas kind of start to reevaluate. But I think black women feel like they never got the lifestyle, right? They never got to enjoy the myth of white womanhood, so they're more steadfast on getting this, right? Getting to be the boss chick while also being kept, while also being a housewife, while also having the corner office, like all these contradictory things, but it doesn't matter, right? Because they never got to experience that in mass, and that's much of what you saw Lauren pretty much saying to Ebony K. Williams, like, yo, like the way I feel about what you're saying, right? And so that's what the white women were speaking to, like especially the one that was raised by the stay-at-home mom. And she still went out there and did the career thing, but she had a default. The difference is a lot of black women don't have that default. So even when they try to do that, it's hard for them because deferring to men, black men, you want to know what grinds my gears? Deferring to black men, to a black husband, even if he's providing on that level. Yeah. So at the end of the day, this is just a gift that keeps on giving. Dear Manosphere, y'all stand right. Right, you're in the right.
Don't let her read from that book. Y'all in trouble if you do.
Yeah, and ending out, I love this time right now, right? I love this time right now, and that doesn't mean that we're not going to go through drawbacks still. But these people are tacitly admitting that we're correct, and the other women are throwing a fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They throwing a fit because no, it's not fair, and we get into the conversation of fair and what should be, and like people are starting to feel the financial pinch, and I agree with you that the environment will dictate how these people respond. So y'all just be careful because they're gonna be running back to the table. Most of them won't have kids, believe it or not. I think most of these women will not have kids, but they're still gonna be a-holes.
Yeah,
that's what you're gonna have to worry about. Is that personality is gonna be trash. Right. So, and I'll pause right now. Thank you for having me up, BTS.
All right. Appreciate you. All right. Roger Report. Thank you for the donation. Salute to the master teacher. Much respect to everyone else on the panel. Old women better find another table. 40-year-old women are Otis. Ain't nobody come to see you. Ain't somebody come to see him. You know what? I think black men got to the point where they don't care. We don't give a shit anymore. Basically, dial on if you must. Okay. Right. Anyway, and late to class, J100. Okay, appreciate you. Go ahead, bro. You got the last word.
Yes, sir. We express ourselves in different ways, but we're all saying the same thing. We're happy to see the death of the gynocracy. And
it ain't dead yet. But
right. But it's in process and in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to realize this version of the gynocracy is only 50, 60, 70.
Yeah, it's 50 years old. Yeah,
60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it started, the brothers don't realize, like you and I do, when it started, rent for an apartment was $100 and you can get a nice house for $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And my, how things have changed.
Oh yeah, the price of the house almost doubled in the last 4 years.
Yeah. Oh man,
yeah. It's another story for a different day. But
average house is $400,000, and in the 70s, the average house was what, $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah, in early 70s was 15. It was what 12,000.
12,000. Yes,
mm-hmm.
sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And I'm just like I'm with you guys. I'm tired. We're all tired of seeing fat pigs in blonde wigs. We're all tired of seeing these fat pigs wearing these blonde weaves and wigs. So yeah, thank you so much for your show and your wisdom, brother. I appreciate you,
All right.
and I always love what you said and tell my brothers what you said, that these females were never brought here
No,
from
to be they never were.
yeah, from 1555 to now, they were
Mhm.
never brought here to be our
No.
wives, and I appreciate that
Yeah.
piece of wisdom you gave the world,
Yeah.
bless the world with.
It's at some point I'm gonna get into Diane Williams' book because she talks about that. She's one of the few female scholars that will actually talk about it. So might dive into her book about this. Well,
Yes, sir.
Candace, thank you for the sticker. And who else is it? One last person is I think that's it. Okay, I think I got everybody. Oh, D Scott. D Scott says, masterclass, got a few of my bunnies listening in. Okay. I heard that. They're gonna learn. They have to learn. If they don't learn, they're gonna die alone. That's the way it is. So with that, you guys, until next time, uh, I'm out of here. Let me see if there's any more people to thank on the Cash App band before I bounce. I don't think so. Mojo, appreciate the Cash App. And Julian, thank you for the Cash App. And Anacetus, appreciate you. With that, folks, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I might extend this. Talk about I think is Princeton mom and the other side of what Ebony K. Williams was saying about getting married early, the white side, because she said it 10 years earlier, and some other things about the wall and other kind of stuff. Let's try to bring it home tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm out of here. So peace, y'all.